PSP podcast, the highlight of Friday nights. I am your host, Sports PSP. Hope everyone's enjoying a fantastic day, coming off work, school, whatever the case may be. It is the highlight of Friday nights. Alongside me, I got my panel. To my gentleman on the left, wearing the red, he is one half of the Georgia Bulldogs. He is Mr. Atlanta, as I call him. He is a girl dad. Hawks, Braves, Falcons, the list goes on and on and on. Baseball season is here. People, please follow him for content. Also, please go check him out for Atlanta Hawks content as well. The one and only BRF Sports, bringing in real flair. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. It's been a decent week. A lot of stuff been going on. Trying to keep track of everything. Hey, yeah, baseball season in full swing. Braves opening day tonight. Hyped about that. They're already winning. Ozzy Albies put one in the left field seat, so they're winning early. Um, I can't complain though. Life is good, man. I'm just ready. I'm ready to get into these topics, man. Any day, any day, I hear someone getting to fry that Fat Albert Radio love child, I'm good.
This
I'm
one.
good.
No two Freeman.
Bro, come on, bro. You got to, you got to chill.
You could just said walrus or elephant or fat bastard, but we knew.
Nah,
But
nah.
but of course,
Jason Whitlock gets no shame from me. He got to get it all. We don't play. No, he
well,
no.
I mean, in fairness, he brought it on himself. So,
Mm-hmm.
but of course, we cannot do the Sports PSP podcast without my main man on the gentleman below. He is the five-time college degree champion and counting. He is the military man and veteran. He is the Al Roker of journalism. He is the young Charles Barkley. He is the young Mark Henry. He is the young Shaquille O'Neal. Um, if you look a little closer on his right, he has another poster that I hooked him up with my goat, the one Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hooked up the big fella with a new poster. He was incredibly shocked. As always, big fella, you're not a friend, you're a brother. Love you. I'm glad you're enjoying the gift, man. I'm happy for you. He is Ace's number one best sibling. Shout out to the beautiful Ace. He is Mama Champ's number one favorite son. He is a reason his father called him Champ for a reason. He is D's hysterical and hilarious friend. Shout out to the beautiful D, the one and only, the big fella, undisputed world champ. How you doing, man?
Man, it is good. It is allergy season. I don't know what it is about pollen season that just really grinds my gears. I got to take that nasty medication during these months. And if I don't, bad stuff
Mm-hmm.
happens. But yeah, man, look, March Madness is on the way. We got beef in the media. We got a little bit of everything. We got people becoming the highest paid in league history. We got a little bit of everything for everybody today, man. And
We
look,
also got comedians impersonating politicians, but that's a
yes,
story for
indeed.
another day.
Yes, indeed, man. Well, I mean, a lot of these politicians are comical any damn way. But we ain't gonna go there. But they're really, really comical. So I mean, great
Colorful.
words in the great words of ease, clowns. I spot them and I can't stop laughing. But
Right. Exactly.
clowns just stop. Spell up, Dwayne. But hey, good to be here on the highlight of Friday nights, man. Hey, man, look. You look at that, we're gonna call that section of the wall to my far left, your right, we're gonna call it the PSP section. Because nearly everything back there was courtesy of PSP on that left side. So, hey, PSP, thanks for hooking me up, man. I really appreciate that, man. And took a lot of time to, hey, man, I got that on a Wednesday. I was like, damn, I didn't expect that on a Wednesday. Good things used to happen on a Friday or a Saturday or even a Sunday. Not on a Wednesday, maybe even a Tuesday, but a Wednesday, that was amazing. So shout out to you and Mama PSP for hooking the brother up with that, man. I'm glad to be back here on the highlight of Friday nights. Man, like I always say, man, Friday night is podcast night. It used to be steak night, but Friday night is podcast night. So we gonna move it along, man. Let's get to this. And look, New Jersey Genius, he takes a lot of time putting this show together, man. Collaborating with us, putting content out. If you are in the chat, if you are watching right now, and if you are paying attention for the first time ever, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. I mean, just today alone, you get a little sneak preview of what we do every single Friday. You see the producer, the mastermind of all of this thing, do his thing every single Friday. Everything that you see put before you is courtesy of PSP. So go ahead and give this young man a like, give him a subscribe. Let's put some money in his pocket, and let's go ahead and get him on that path to getting that big old contract that he richly deserves, man.
I wanna piggyback a little bit because we don't, I don't. People like to talk about my intellect every once in a while, but I don't drop too many big words for people. But I just want to say this to throw a big word out there to recognize kind of what PSP is of this podcast. He's like what we like to call the mitochondria of this podcast because he supplied the energy for the podcast. So I mean, hey, the least y'all could do is show a brother some love because he helped us get started in this. He's one of the reasons we both doing this. So shout out to him. He doing this thing. This why we here every Friday. Nothing but love for the brother. We back him every step of the way, and we gonna continue to do it.
Absolutely. And of course, y'all also did y'all part as well. Y'all brought in the talent. I didn't just brought y'all there just because I liked y'all. I also brought y'all there because I knew y'all had talent. I knew y'all had amazing potential. And I knew y'all were definitely a voice for sports and so much more, man. Always love having you on. And of course, shout out to some beautiful women. Last few days of Women's Month, shout out to Jennifer Lazarus, one of my college professors from Montclair State University. Thank you so much, and love you. Hope to see you soon. Thank you because you encouraged me along the way to help me get to where I am as a content creator. Thank you for also teaching me social media. I tried to teach BRF and Champ as much as you taught me. So thank you. I also want to thank Mama PSP as well for doing everything that she has done. And she also said, "You're welcome to, Champ." And she was also congratulating you for winning your Oscar the other week or so. So you did look smooth in that suit though.
Yeah, that was weird seeing me in a suit. I usually got a hoodie and a t-shirt on, so it's kind of weird seeing me in a suit again. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm just being real, man. Every time I go somewhere, one of my homegirls invite me somewhere and they say it's a black tie, I feel like, don't wear a hoodie tonight. Like, damn. Okay.
And of course, the beautiful, lovely D. Shout out to the beautiful, lovely D. And love you. Thank you for everything that you do, sister. But fellas, let's get into it with March Madness, man. There were some big thriller games, especially last night. We saw Texas versus Purdue, the game-winning shot. We definitely saw Arizona giving Arkansas the spanking. But March Madness, man, the beauty of March Madness. And of course, that game-winning shot against Kansas last Sunday. BRF, I'm gonna let you go first, man. What are your thoughts about with March Madness, not only from the men's side, but also from the women's side as well?
This has definitely been one of the more exciting NCAA tournaments from both sides we've seen in a while, particularly the men's side, because I don't know. There's something about parity in a sport, even when you get to playoff time, especially when you get to playoff time, when you see teams just take out top guns. But honestly, at the end of the day, when it gets down to the nitty gritty, when you get to the Sweet 16, when you get to the Elite Eight, the better teams are usually gonna prevail. You'll get the Cinderella squads that get to the Elite Eight, the Final Four, but the teams that generally, when it gets down to this part of the tournament, the teams that generally win are the ones that are just better in, and just you're seeing it with you've seen it with really since that Siena game, really taking their game up to another notch. Like I felt like the Dukes, the Arizonas of the world, the teams that can really do it on both ends of the floor. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's really just it's your guard play, but then also it's the offensive and defensive efficiency that's going to get you through, especially this time of the year, being able to make shots, being able to execute on the offensive side, but then be able to get stops, be able to force turnovers, be able to really control and dictate the pace of the game on both ends of the floor. That's why I said even after that Siena game, I said Duke still has a shot to run this table and win the national championship because they do all the little things. They do everything just about as good, if not better, than any other team in the nation right now. And Arizona is another prime example of that, a team that just executes on both ends of the floor. And that's what dominates comes March Madness. Like and especially the fact that they have the guard play to do this as well, because I've said it and it continues to hold true. Guard play wins in March. I mean, guard play will continue to win in March. Now, granted, Duke with guys like Cam and Caden Boozer, guys like that, they're kind of offsetting that narrative a little bit. But still, at the end of the day, you still got to be able to execute in the backcourt to be able to come out and win these games like this in March Madness. It's really been exciting. Shout out to the Illinois Fighting Illini for getting back to the Elite Eight last night. They used to be like almost like a fixin' in terms of just competing, whether Big Ten championships, getting to the NCAA tournaments, making Sweet 16 runs. Shout out to the great little D Brown, back in the mid 2000s, like just good seeing them winning again. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm tuning in. Oh man, it's been fun. I mean, you really can't ask for nothing more from the NCAA tournament. It's just fun, no blowout, not a lot of blowouts, and even when you do see a team win by double digits, it's normally them pulling away late because, like I said, it's just about the game plan. It's just about executing. You see it. These teams are showing their might. You see who's better come Sweet 16 to Elite Eight as far as being able to prep and being able to execute. So all in all, it's been a very exciting tournament. And to chime in on the women's side a little bit, I feel like it's the usual suspects with the women. Like the elite teams on that side, like whether it's the South Carolinas, the LSU's of the world. You know who's going to come in, and you know who's going to be the most prepared, and who's going to come in, game out, and kind of just treat it like a business trip. You know the ones that are coming in ready to go, they treat it like a business trip. I mean, you're excited to be there, but at the end of the day, it's just you have to channel it as much as you can as just being another game. And you see that on a night in, night out basis in the NCAA tournament with the elite teams, with the better teams. So all in all, I'm happy with how both of these tournaments are going. I'm ready for the rest of the Sweet 16 to narrow it down to the Elite Eight and ultimately to the Final Four. Hey man, this is what we talking about. This is why March Madness is up there in terms of like the best postseason experiences in all of college sports, because it's unpredictable, but it's fun, and it's nothing more you can ask for from a tournament like March Madness. It's nothing more you can ask for. So shout out to the teams that are still in it, and even the teams that are getting eliminated. Hey, don't feel like you let your university down, you let your fans down, because some of y'all weren't expected to get here at all. So keep your heads up and come back next year ready to go. So shout out to everybody who's still participating, because it's been a lot of fun watching these games.
Big fella.
I think the biggest story of March Madness right now is the fallout from March Madness at this point. I think the Hubert Davis firing was the biggest story of March Madness. And you got to think about this. Getting to the tournament for a few years and getting knocked out in the first round, that's an accomplishment for certain schools. Not North Carolina. That rich history, Dean Smith, Roy Williams, just to name a few, the players, that was not enough. So you just knew that it was just going to get ugly real quick. Ugly. I mean, that's with the UGLY, capital. So I think that's the biggest story. I think two of the biggest stories in the league right about now is who is going to be the final boss this year. Because you got to ask yourself, is it going to be Duke? Is Arkansas going to win their first national championship since 40 Minutes of Hell? And is St. John's going to get there? I think those are the three biggest stories on the men's side. On the women's side, it's pretty simple. Look, USC, University of California, that is, on the West Coast, had the freshman of the year, Jazzy Davison. They got beat by almost 40 by South Carolina. Every time they face each other, it's like, who is the real USC? Well, for right now, South Carolina. right now, what's going on is you have UCLA versus Minnesota. UCLA is number 1. Minnesota is number 4. That's going to be a good game. I will be keeping my eyes on that. This Sunday, you have a very good matchup, that being Olivia Miles from Notre Dame and Coach G from UConn and AC Fudd. And that's going to be a hell of a matchup because they're going for the undefeated season. So there's a lot of great things going on. Not to mention this is Flau'jae Johnson's last season at LSU. It's Flau'jae Johnson's last season at LSU. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen. But I really think the biggest story is the final boss in South Carolina, the CEO, Coach Staley.
Mm-hmm.
They held Southern to 30 points. Let me repeat that. They held Southern University to 30 points. The freshman of the year, Jazzy Davison, was on USC. Now, granted, people said they wasn't going to go that far because,
the loss of Juju Watkins.
No Juju. But you have to be looking forward to what's going to happen next year. Because Jazzy Davison, Juju Watkins, scoring, rebounding, assists, that's going to produce a lot. But for them to beat them by almost 40, nasty. So you got to think that it's going to come down to the big four, that being Coach G, Coach Gino, that is, the CEO, Don Staley, Coach Kim Mulkey, and it's probably going to come down to UCLA. But the matchup this Sunday with Notre Dame versus Coach Gino and AC Fudd, that's going to be a matchup. Coach Gino already said, I do not like that matchup right now. He already said it. He's already been on record saying, I do not like that matchup. So that's going to be very, very interesting. On the women's side, it's very, very cute. Guys, look, I understand that a lot of the big name players that we used to cheer for are not in college anymore, but it pains me to see how empty the stands are when it comes to those women basketball games, when it comes to the March Madness. It pains me to see that. Let's get back in the stands. Let's support these ladies. I understand that, one player does not make up, a fan base. Let's get behind the women. And that's not a knock to anyone. I just want to see women's sports be supported so they can make money, so they can get commercial, so it can be a worldwide phenomenon. Let's keep that momentum going that Caitlin Clark built up, that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese built up. Let's keep that college momentum going. We should know the players. I think Slam Magazine is doing a hell of a job with keeping momentum because they had the Jazzy Davison cover T-shirts. They had Coach Don Staley. She was on a T-shirt. I think that they are doing one hell of a job. But let's keep everything the way it was, when Caitlin Clark was there. Let's watch these ladies and let's give them the recognition that they deserve. They go out there and they play their butts off. Let's support them. Don't just sit around here and just support one or two players, no matter what side of the spectrum that you're on. Let's support them all so they can eventually see a $20 million contract in the WNBA. So they can see these big-time moves in NIL. Let's go ahead and support them. We shouldn't have half-empty arenas when it comes to these women. Let's do our job and support.
Champ, unfortunately, that probably may not happen because, again, you know how people are. Remember, last week, you got a lot of blowback, a lot of flack for that Caitlin Clark take you had, which you hit it on the nail. You did provide facts, but at the same time, as you always told me before, big fella, narratives.
And the thing is, I'll clear the air on that situation. The thing is, people think that was a knock on Caitlin Clark. It's not. It was a nod to the other women of the W to say, hey, they can draw fans as well. Look at what the Golden State Valkyrie did. Look at what the Las Vegas Aces have done since Asia Wilson has been there. They've sold out Michelob Ultra Arena every year in Las Vegas. They sold out last year. And before people get all in the comments and start getting in their feelings, talk about, well, that's not a big... That arena by itself sits over 16,000 people in Las Vegas. and they sold out every single year. Hell, the Golden State Valkyries, they were an expansion team, and they sold out every single game.
Made the
And they
playoffs.
had a super fan there as well. Remember the super fan when Caitlin Clark got called for traveling at the beginning of the season? He was walking on the side of the court doing like this when and everybody was laughing. That's what that was. It was not a shot at Caitlin Clark. The thing is, we got to realize this: there's more than one person in the league. The thing is, when the NBA succeeded, everybody just wasn't behind Michael Jordan. Everybody just wasn't behind Bird and Magic. You were watching it because of them, but you got behind it because, okay, now you're asking yourself, should I be paying more attention to the guys in my region? When Magic, although I'm a diehard Laker fan, you think I don't pay attention to the Hawks? Yeah, I've been to several games. I can't go to Los Angeles every week. And so, yes, that was what that was for. It was not to rib or not Caitlin Clark. We all know that she was one of the big reasons that, a lot of fans came to the W. We know that. But the thing is, we have to acknowledge what they were able to do without her. They were able to draw fans without her this year.
I think
She
the
didn't
problem is, champ, people can't acknowledge two things could be true.
Well,
Two things could be
can't
true.
be true. And
No, two things could be true. Caitlin Clark, when she was gone, clearly did it impact the WNBA negatively? No, they were still able to go on. And plus, to your point, during football season, they had over 1 million ratings during that time. You know how difficult that is to do that, not only with the professional football, but also with the college football, given how huge college football and the professional football is, particularly with narratives. But at the same time, big fella, as I always tell you, as you always tell me, narratives.
Yeah.
I told you. Do I agree with you? Caitlin Clark saved the WNBA. I believe she played a huge role for the WNBA to evolve, but I don't believe she completely saved it. Let's not go that far. There's Asia Wilson. There's Nafisa Collier. I did brought up, remember, the receipts that she had with the commissioner, Kathy Angelhart, to which Adam Silver defended her publicly. No surprise.
Yeah.
Then you look at a lot of other things. Of course, you look at the rookies. You look at Angel Reese. People don't want to give Angel Reese the love or flowers or credit or recognition because of her personality and stuff. But you look at what Angel Reese does off the court. She's big time. You look at Asia Wilson. You look at Nafisa Collier. You look at Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Mitchell. There's been a lot of great things with the WNBA. But at the same time, champ, unfortunately, it's going to be a while for people to really evolve and to give the women the recognition and credit that they deserve. Fair or unfair, unfortunately, that's just the truth.
Yeah. But
it's sad,
I will
though.
say this. I will say this, though. My bad, PSV.
No, go ahead.
Hey, we're going to talk. Like we were saying on the Uncensored show, WNBA, if you don't do anything else, make sure you let Teaspoon and Courtney Williams do that live stream for the All-Star game this coming. You got, hey, I loved every minute of that. I was watching that whole live stream. That was the funniest thing I ever seen in my life.
Thank God. I thought you were gonna mention something outrageous, but yeah.
No. I went, like I said, we save all the crazy stuff for the Uncensored show. This is for the children.
But yeah, definitely. I would love to see South Carolina, the women's team, win it again, especially for Dawn Staley, given the fact how they lost last year. They look hungry. As for the men's, man, even though Arkansas lost, I told you about that dude Darius Cuff.
Yeah.
Signed a Reebok deal. And he's got the great Allen Iverson there to mentor him as well. And he's about to have his own signature shoe. So look at Reebok. They got Angel Reese. Now you got Darius Cuff. And Darius Cuff has been playing out of his mind. And
Carrington as well. Dejanay Carrington.
Mm-hmm. So I love it. As for I would love to see Michigan win it. because, again, for them to get the big monkey off their back, they had the chance in 2012. They lost that one. Then in 2017, Michigan, want to see Michigan win, but it wouldn't surprise me if Alabama, if they win the national championship. But that was a great game between Texas and Purdue. That was good. I think we're gonna probably see a rematch. I think it's gonna be great, man. And this is what's so great about with basketball, because even without football season, this is March Madness, the great stories, and then St. John beating Kansas the way that they did. So that was huge, man. You live for moments like this. But fellas, speaking on, let's continue more with basketball. Of course, we heard of the news, the NBA with the expansion, Vegas and Seattle. I'm reading an article right here from Shams Charania of ESPN. The NBA will hold a vote at the Board of Governors meetings next week. In the expansion teams exclusively in Las Vegas and Seattle, sources told ESPN, with 2 new franchises being targeted to start play in the 2028-2029 season. There's no momentum within the Board of Governors and league office to approve moving forward with taking bids for franchises in Las Vegas and Seattle, according to sources with knowledge of the discussions. Industry executives project proposals in the $7 to $10 billion range for each team, an estimate that both markets would be among the NBA's top 8 revenue generators. The market appeal of Las Vegas and Seattle, plus the parity-friendly collective bargaining agreement, will likely lead to a robust purchase market for expansion. So the NBA, they approved it. I love it for Seattle, because, again, to bring back the Supersonics, I hope they come back with the logos, the uniforms, and stuff like that. Seattle, they do. I mean, we all know the Seattle Storm. The Seattle Seahawks just recently won the Super Bowl. Let's give some of the fans some good old basketball to cheer, because we still got the Seattle Storm, but let's give them the Seattle Supersonics. Of course, they've moved on from them in 2008 to go to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's give Seattle some excitement. That is a great sports city. As for Las Vegas, okay, you got something now, because you got the Las Vegas Aces, led by, of course, A'ja Wilson. You got the Las Vegas Raiders. Tom Brady's doing his thing. I told you, champ, the Raiders have been doing their homework in the offseason, and they're going to have the number 1 overall pick, and they're going to draft Fernando Mendoza. So to add a basketball team in Vegas, I still hope that they keep the Dallas Mavericks, because remember, we did talk about at one time them possibly the ownership possibly moving the team from Texas to Vegas. But what I also do love from this standpoint, and I also forgot to mention this with WNBA, they're bringing back the Houston Comets. That is huge. So I love that. I mean, of course, from the great players of Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson. So I'm happy for H-Town. I'm glad that the NBA is expanding. Big fella, what are your thoughts?
First order of business for I will say the Seattle Seahawks, the Seattle Supersonics, when they go into their new home, Climate Pledge Arena. First order of business need to be bringing back Shawn Kemp, Gary Payton, and retiring their jerseys. That should be the first home game ever.
Can't agree with you more.
The first home game ever should be them retiring Shawn Kemp's number, Gary Payton's number on the same night, and paying homage to the one and only Lenny Wilkens. That should happen opening night. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it.
Also, to a lesser extent, Ray Allen.
Yes, indeed. That's the first order of business. Second order of business, when you bring the Comets back to Houston, bring the alumni back. Bring back Cheryl Swoops. Bring back the family of Kim Peratt. Bring back Cynthia Cooper. Bring back all of those players that won 4 straight championships. I will say that again. They won 4 straight championships. No team in modern history has done that other than the Houston Comets. So, first order of business for both of those teams would be to retire the jerseys of their prospective alumni members. And if you was paying attention to the collective bargaining agreement, hey, some of those former players who played in the way back when, they got a sweet little payday, $100,000 if you paid for over 11 years. So considering how shortchanged that doesn't make up for them being shortchanged for all the years that they were shortchanged, but to get a sweet payoff, for Diana Taurasi, for Cheryl Swoops, who was the first to ever have a signature shoe, for those women to finally get a big payday and say, this is a milestone, you are a part of it, that is nothing short of amazing. So first order of business for Seattle, the Supersonics, need to be to retire the jerseys of Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. And I'm talking about NBA Jam type life. I'm talking about NBA Jam style. For those of you who don't know, Gary Payton wasn't put in the NBA Jam game at first. He had to call the creator in order to get put in the game. So they need to bring those games back. They need to bring that shirt back, and when they get their jersey retired, and put them on that shirt, man. I like the whole vibe in Vegas because we've seen basketball succeed in Vegas. We saw UNLV, the Running Rebels. We saw how their attendance. And the tickets were so expensive on the college level. Do y'all know what it was called on the college level court side?
What was it?
It was called Gucci Row. That's how expensive those damn tickets was at UNLV when they were at their peak. The Las Vegas Aces, women's basketball, have sold out every single home game for the past 5 years. Not to mention, the NBA convention was there, sold out. It's an entertainment town. But Vegas, do us all the favor, man. Cut down on them high hotel prices, man. So your boy can come out there and watch a couple of games.
That ain't gonna happen. You gonna have to pay extra.
But I don't think it's not the hotels that's gonna break you. It's that ticket, man. Trying to get a ticket because the thing is, guys like me and BRF, we got to drive at least an hour to Atlanta. At least an hour to Atlanta. So
exactly.
You got to get up there. Then you got to pay for that high old parking that's at that airport every day if nobody drop you off. Then you got to get a one-way ticket to. Then you got to get a round trip ticket to there. Hope it's first class, and then get on back home. So yeah, they do have 2-day stays at Circa for I think like $400. $400 in total. They give you like a $100 food and beverage credit, and then $100 for gambling as well. So I think Circa is pretty good. If y'all don't know what that is, that's the hotel with the big swimming pool and the television that you can watch all the games on there. You can get a little VIP section. But yeah, I've been looking at that too. So look, basketball can succeed in Vegas. We saw with UNLV, we saw with the Aces on the women's side. They're selling out every single game. And we saw what happened, and we saw what sports can do with their expansion franchise. With the form of the Las Vegas, I think it was the Guardians, BRF.
I believe it was, yes.
Yeah, the Las Vegas Guardians. So we saw them succeed. And look, one thing that Las Vegas can really hang their hat on is they're not stealing a team from somebody else. It's their team.
No, it's legitimate. It's
legitimate their team. Like the Las Vegas Aces, that's Las Vegas's team. The hockey team, it's their team. I don't think that they feel like, I talked to a few people in Vegas, they don't feel like that Las Vegas, the Raiders are their team.
No, because again, where did they buy it from? Oakland.
They got it from Oakland. They don't feel like, but it's these guys are their team. And the greatest prize of all, the Seattle Supersonics. If you really go back and look at the documentary, because I was watching the documentary while I was at work earlier, watching little bits and pieces of the documentary about the Supersonics. The main reason why they ended up leaving was because of the new stadium. They have a beautiful building and this brand new stadium. So, shout out to Old School Key Arena, because that was one of the sole reasons why they ended up having to leave. And look, They have a beautiful building out there. I cannot wait to see those Supersonic fans crowd back into that arena and cheer. That was one of the loudest arenas in the world. They literally used to count down from 10 in order to make one of the Utah Jazz great power forwards. I'm not going to mention his name because of certain allegations. Not going to mention his name. But I remember they used to count down from 10 and scream loud as possible in order to make him miss free throws. That's how loud that arena was. And they was always afraid that, as far as Supersonics fans was concerned, because like I said, watch the documentary about it. They were always afraid that they were going to get somebody else's team where nobody else was going to want their team. They couldn't get the funding for it. They was going to get no. You're getting your own team. You're getting your own team. And look, basketball has succeeded, not just with the men's side, but on the women's side. Seattle Storm got 3 championships. And Skylar Diggins, Nneka Ogwumike, I can't wait to see them courtside at the Supersonic games. I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see it, man. This is amazing for expansion, but I'm especially excited to see the Houston Comets go back to Houston. You know, that's gonna be great. I know another thing that, and I don't mean to change the script up or anything. One thing that I really think that we need to acknowledge is the expansion draft for the WNBA for their expansion teams is coming
Yeah.
up soon. That their expansion teams are coming up on April the 1st. So that's going to be interesting too. Uh, Teams can only protect 5 players. 5. So look, I'm hoping that one team in particular doesn't protect their superstar, so she can go somewhere else. I'm hoping one team in particular doesn't protect that superstar, so she can end up at another team this year. So I would love to see her in Toronto more so than Portland, but I would love to see what she would be in Toronto under Coach Sandy. Y'all don't know who Coach Sandy is. Coach Sandy is the coach that won the New York Liberty's first title. So I would love to see Angel Reese not get protected by the Chicago Sky and her go to Toronto and play for Coach Sandy. Because if you look at what she did with Breanna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, Natasha Cloud, just to name a few, she was able to get the most out of their ability. So I cannot wait that. And I think that, let me make sure that I got this right, because I believe that Toronto won the coin flip today. Let me see. Let me check in order to make sure. Let me see. In order to make sure. Just trying to make sure that they won the coin flip.
All right. Before you can confirm it, BRF, what are your thoughts, man?
I'm really happy. I'm really happy Seattle's getting a team again, because growing up and knowing how much of a fixture the Seattle SuperSonics was in the game. Growing up, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Detlef Shrimp, just growing up with that Seattle Supersonic squad, Hersey Hawkins, um, like that was like that team that faced the Bulls when they went on that 72-10 run. Like, people just don't understand how good that Seattle Supersonic squad really was. And like Sean Kemp was like one of the most intimidating yet skillful players we had seen in the league. And I'm happy Seattle's getting a team again. Um what I want to see, to take a different angle here as far as the NBA is concerned with the expansion, what I would like to see, if Seattle and Vegas, because I mean, it's basically a no-brainer that they're going to join the Western Conference. 2 teams need to join the Eastern Conference, and I have the perfect 2 squads that can go to the Eastern Conference. They've already been talking about one, and they really need to do it. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves need to join the Central Division, like with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Chicago Bulls, those squads. And the Memphis Grizzlies need to just go ahead and join the Southeast Division with the Heat, the Hawks, the Magic, and
After all,
and
they're
all of
already
them.
in the Southeast.
Well, they're in the Western Conference. I'm saying they're in the Western Conference still.
No, I'm talking about in terms like America.
Yeah, that one's I'm saying. I'm saying it'd be like I'm saying like it would be perfect. Just take Memphis Grizzlies, put them in the Eastern Conference, just slide them on in that Southeast Division where they need to be geographically, and just keep it pushing. So they definitely that's what I would from a standpoint of just geographical alignment as far as like these teams. I mean, it just Minnesota in the Central, Memphis in the Southeast. Just move them on to the East, put them there, and I feel like you have everything good because we know Seattle and Vegas are going into the Western Conference. I mean, it's quite obvious. I like Vegas having an NBA squad. I'm interested to see like when the expansion draft rolls around, and then as far as like which players become available and all that other stuff. Because I'm not saying they would let him go, but I think one of the more intriguing possibilities that could happen would be Bam Adebayo joining the Vegas squad.
Because of Asia Wilson.
I mean,
yeah.
Because of Asia Wilson, it would definitely be one of the more intriguing things. But I mean, Bam.
Although it's going to be difficult for him because again, South Beach and no state income taxes.
Yeah, very true. And I wouldn't blame him at all for not wanting to leave Miami because I mean, you pretty much have it made, especially after the 83-point game you just put up. You're basically a god in Miami now. You're basically a god in Miami. But at the same time, though, we would completely understand why he would want to go to Vegas. I mean, you would. I feel like you would, being an expansion team, you would, depending on who they brought in that first year, you come in, you're instantly the face of the franchise, instantly, because you're probably going to be the best player. If it was to happen that way, it's probably not going to happen that way. But just throwing out scenarios, because I mean that's what we do. We like to analyze. We like to pick things. We like to kind of analyze down the road because it's exciting, and that's what sports talk is. That's what it should be. But yeah, it's an intriguing prospect with Vegas, especially having a team, because I mean you see all the moves Vegas is making sports wise. I mean, you already got the Aces. I mean, you have the Knights, you have the Golden Knights in the NHL who have won Stanley Cup championships. Eventually you're going to get the Athletics, you're going to get the baseball team. Eventually, they're going to come there. So I mean, you're kind of really you're setting yourself up. I mean, and I mean it doesn't exactly hurt. You're already like the gambling capital of the world, and I mean people go there, bet on sports all the time, so that doesn't hurt you at all there. And now with the fact that you could potentially get a team, and you're going to have a team in all four major sports now. So I mean, it only adds to the value as far as like Vegas is what they're going to bring to the table as far as like from the sports perspective. On the WNBA side of things, I was the biggest Houston Comets fan. When the WNBA first came into existence, those Houston Comets teams were so fun to watch. Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson, Cheryl Swoops, the late great Kim Perrott. Mm-hmm. Just those teams really kind of, if you want to look at it from like a comparison standpoint, they were kind of like a more exciting version of what the Spurs were in the 2000s. Just like kind of like a no nonsense discipline, but yet had some flair to them, particularly with Cynthia Cooper, who's like she's in Mount Rushmore conversations as far as the WNBA is concerned. What she did those 4 years in the league, not only leading them to those 4 championships, but some of the numbers that she was putting up, and for that time, just how good she was able to play for that time. I mean, you're the face of the first 4 championships of the WNBA. That goes a long way in terms of your legacy standing, in terms of what you mean to that sport. I was a big Houston Comets fan, so seeing them come back now does it kind of suck that one of the teams have to go because I mean the Connecticut Sun, for what it's worth, have had some really, really good squads and have made some noise as far as the WNBA is concerned. So it is a real unfortunate thing that they're being sold to the Fertitta family, I believe, for like $300 million or something like that. Yes. I believe that was the numbers. It sucks, but you know what? I feel like I feel like at the end of the day, with one door closing, it's just another door opening, and getting the Houston Comets back is going to be. I honestly think that ultimately is going to be a really good thing for the NBA to bring that legacy back to the forefront, and for fans to really learn about those Comets teams and what they were doing in the beginning of the existence of the WNBA. So it's really going to be good for WNBA fans who saw that then to be able to tell those stories, and for them to be able to see those Houston Comets teams and really kind of relive that. So I'm really happy that they're bringing the Comets back into the fold as far as the WNBA is concerned. But I'm all in all honesty though, this is like one of the craziest years I've seen in a while from like an expansion standpoint. Like
Yeah. To your point, BRF, you mentioned the Connecticut Sun is being sold to the Fertitta family back to Houston, confirmed to ESPN, $300 million, which is a record-breaking price for a WNBA team. Furthermore, did not even include a relocation fee. So that's saying something. But big fella, I know you got a question.
Quick, I got real quick for BRF and UPSP. Do you think that leading up to it, especially when you have two historic teams like this, and as far as the Seattle Supersonics and the Houston Comets, that played a grave role not only in the elevation of their league but the marketing of the league? Do you think that ESPN should number one, like I stated, retire the players' jerseys the first game? Number one, the team, I'll say, not ESPN, excuse me. Do you think that the team should, number one, retire the players' jerseys and bring back the old team, number one? And number two, should ESPN, the day before opening night, for those two particular teams, the day before their opening night, do you think that ESPN should start production of a 30 for 30 just to introduce the teams with them coming back and just kind of reintroduce them so that the younger fans who heard all of these urban legends in Houston and Seattle about these great teams, about the Lenny Wilkens teams, about the Tiny Archibald team, about the Cynthia Cooper teams, about the Kim Perrott teams. Do you think that they should come out with a 30 for 30 in order to kind of reintroduce the younger fans to the team before they actually get there? Like, here's the history of your team. You don't have to depend on your team in order to give the history. You don't have to rely on urban legends in order to do so.
You mean equivalency to like the Last Dance documentary?
Yes. Here's the 30 for 30. And it's going to drop right before opening night. Watch this right before opening night. Get a good understanding about what you're going to see when you go to the game, and then go to the game. You don't have to hear about because guys my age, as well as BRF's age, they know about the Seattle Supersonics. But the young men and young women that were probably born during the early 2000s, they probably got a glimpse of them, but they didn't see them at their peak. They didn't see the Tiny Archibald team. They didn't see the Detlef Shrimp teams. They didn't see the late great Lenny Wilkens team when they won back in the 70s. They didn't see that team. So do y'all think
that depends, champ? I think, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if people don't watch documentaries, because let's just be honest, people don't want to take the time to actually spend 2 hours, 3 hours watching the documentary, doing their research or homework and stuff like that. Because again, unfortunately, as Flash always brings it up all the time, we're done with the 90s, we're done with the 80s and all that other stuff. That's how Flash talks. I'm just giving you a quick impersonation. Shout out to Flash.
Yes, indeed.
Honestly, I just don't think some in today's generation, they just don't care. Even with the Last Dance documentary, champ, it just feels like to me they just don't care. A lot of them still have LeBron James as their GOAT rather than Michael Jordan. Who else? And fair or unfair, it's just is what it is. Do I think they should have more documentaries to get them to learn and educate and have a different perspective on just how good those teams were and how sad it was for them when they departed? Sure. But it's only to people who are diehard sports fans, people like us, people who are convinced. I don't know about the rest of the world.
honestly, with a situation like that, you can't always necessarily think about that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 30 for 30. It could be like two separate Sports Center specials in their own right. It doesn't necessarily have to be 30 for 30s. Just something to really kind of
Or Netflix.
or Netflix thing. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily like just something like just something to really like kind of reintroduce the world, as far as like what these franchises meant to their collective leagues. I'm saying it doesn't have to be like it doesn't have necessarily be like really really in depth, but just kind of highlight, like the big like highlights, just highlight certain players, highlight moments, like talk about like run, just year in year out runs that they've have, like just document success. I mean, and if you're going to tell stories like that, tell the whole thing. Talk about especially with the Seattle Supersonics, talk about their struggles, like after those great players of the 90s ultimately left that franchise. And I mean, and even still, they still had decent, tell the fact that it was the Seattle Supersonics that drafted Kevin Durant. Tell that story. That's how Kevin Durant was introduced to the NBA. It was the Seattle Supersonics before they ultimately moved to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Tell that story as well. Like it just kind of highlight certain things to really allow the fans of the day, because a lot of them don't care, but at the same time, you do have those that like learning about the history of basketball and love studying and love kind of pulling the past into the day and really kind of giving it a spotlight, kind of putting it on a pedestal. So I
Very
think
very two young people aren't casual.
yeah,
Like if you want people to, if you want basketball expertise, look no further than casual. As far as
absolutely,
understanding X's and O's, as far as the culture, the schemes and fits, casual.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He is
Outside of
he is
people
a
like
beast.
Casual and Norman, Kieran, I don't know too many young guys that would actually take the time to actually watch it and contextualize it.
And
I just
Mario,
don't, huh?
I think Mario would too.
Oh, she's
Especially
awesome. She's
yeah, on the
awesome.
women's side of everything.
On
I
the
think
women's side, oh yeah,
There's
she's awesome.
other
Mm.
any other woman that I could think of that
Uh,
can break it down. It has to be Mario.
except when it comes to the NBA type of stuff. Look, I love Mario, but there have been times he had some loopholes with some. Look, I'm just being honest. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. I love Mario, but at the same time, I'm gonna call it like I see it. So, truth is the
Yeah,
ultimate defense.
yeah. But on the
But
women's side, I think she can do. She could. I think if there's anybody as far as TikTok and ball knowledge, as far as on the women's side of it, I think that Maria she can break it down as far as the Houston comments are concerned. I think that she can break it down. And there's another guy on there. We did a show with on the Uncensored show, WNBA Mayor. I
yeah,
think that he can break
Hmm.
it down on there as well. So I think that a lot of, if any, that's the thing about it. We don't have to rely on these big time sports stations in order to do it. We can do it ourselves.
and furthermore, like I said, champ, you've talked about this yourself. HBO is like the real podcast. Podcasting is like the HBO.
Yeah.
It's more authentic to hear it from us than to hear it from people like ESPN and stuff, because I don't think they really care. They're actually not going to take the time to give enough coverage to that stuff. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is, champ. They're more interested in controversies. They're more interested in beefs. I mean, look at the latest situation with Dan Orlowski and Pat McAfee recently, because Dan Orlowski was on Pat McAfee's show claiming that Ty Simpson not only is a better quarterback prospect than Fernando Mendoza, he also claimed that Fernando Mendoza did not play in big games. No, I'm not joking. I'm surprised you didn't know this.
He said Fernando
Wait a
Mendoza
minute.
didn't do
Time
what?
out. Time out. Time out. Time out on that. Like for real. For
I'm
real.
gonna say it again.
The time. No. 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 Time out. I need you to just stop that tape and rewind that back like 30 seconds from what you just said. I just need you to continue that from there.
Dan Orlowski, ESPN NFL analyst, was on Pat McAfee's show.
Yeah.
And he claimed that Ty Simpson is the better quarterback prospect. Ty Simpson from Alabama is the better quarterback prospect than Fernando Mendoza. He also thought that Fernando Mendoza didn't really play in the big games.
That's a lie.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you didn't know
I
this,
didn't
champ.
know.
As knowledgeable as you are, I mean,
I
your
did not
head
know
is.
that.
I mean, your
I did
head.
not know that.
Not to be disrespectful to your. I mean, not to be disrespectful to your glasses. Them glasses of yours. I'm surprised you didn't even take the time to actually watch it because Dan Orlowski was saying some crazy shit about Ty Simpson being better than Fernando Mendoza and claiming that Mendoza didn't play in big games. So he didn't watch the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State, one of the best defenses, if not the best defense. Okay, Alabama. Okay, fine. Kalen DeBoer, you had questions about Kalen DeBoer. We saw what they did in the Chick-fil-A Bowl against Oregon, torched them, wasn't even close. And of course, the national championship game at Miami. You picked Miami, champ, because it was at Miami. Me and BRF felt like, regardless of the circumstances, Indiana was just a more complete team. And Fernando Mendoza is from Miami himself.
Yeah.
And he put on a masterclass. That fourth quarter of that national championship game, Fernando Mendoza went straight up there and put a masterclass out there.
Number one, I apologize about that because I've been trying to pay so much attention to women's basketball on what's going on their side because we're approaching the season that I didn't even pay attention to what Dan Orlowski said. So to the audience, I apologize about that. But that's just another situation of ESPN. And I'm an SEC guy to the core, but that's just another case of Dan Orlowski and Paul Feinbaum and a lot of those guys at ESPN because they made so much money at the SEC. You know, that's their SEC bias. That's all that is.
Dan Orlowski went to UConn, though. He's not even an SEC dude.
He's not from the SEC.
But the thing is, you're only going to do what pays your bills. ESPN and SEC pays your bills. So you have to big up these quarterbacks. And the thing is, this is not even a quarterback draft, if you really want me to be honest with you. Sorry to get off subject, but this is a more of a defensive draft. This is where you go out to get your wide receiver. This is where you go to get your running back. Ain't nobody really outside of the Las Vegas Raiders, nobody's really thinking about a quarterback this draft. Everybody's kind of thinking about next year. Now, you might get some late round steals, if you will, but nobody's really thinking about getting a Ty Simpson or anybody else outside of Fernando Mendoza at this point in time. Even Drew Allar, who was a hell of a prospect going into last year, he's not even being mentioned like that because of some of his injuries that he suffered. So exactly. The thing is, a lot of these talking heads on television, they are very, very biased because that's the station that pays their bills. The SEC has a huge contract with ESPN, and that's how come he keeps bringing Ty Simpson up at this point. And guess what? Ty Simpson, I understand how gutsy he is because it takes a lot in order to play with that type of injury. But let's just keep it all the way above. The guy who deserves to be the number one overall pick, if a quarterback even goes number one overall, let's just keep it above because you do have a lot of these great defensive players that are in the draft at this point. So don't be surprised if a defensive player, although Las Vegas does need a quarterback. Don't be surprised if they end up going defense, getting a Caleb Downs, getting a Sonny, getting someone like that. This is not a quarterback draft anyway for us to even be having these discussions. The quarterback of this draft is Fernando Mendoza. Let's not get it twisted. So we need to stop with all of these talking heads on television trying to extend narrative. There is no narrative, and I understand why he's doing it. There's no real narrative in this draft. And you need narrative in order to sell the NFL draft. I understand. I see what you're doing. You're trying to get a narrative going. And what better way to bring that SEC bias and try to say that Ty Simpson is one of the best, he's better than Fernando Mendoza. He hasn't played. Okay.
He said one of Orlowski's main point of contention is questioning Mendoza's ability in big games, which sure is something. So we're going to ignore the game-winning drive he had against Penn State, which that was his Heisman moment. We're going to disregard what he did in the Big Ten championship game. We're going to disregard what he did against Alabama. We're going to disregard what he did against Oregon, which their offense just torched that Oregon's defense. Let's not forget the crucial drive in which led to the touchdown champ in the national championship. That back shoulder pass he had to Charlie Becker. And the 4th and 5 touchdown run. I said it's equivalent to John Elway's run in the Super Bowl against the Green Bay Packers.
Absolutely.
But look, I like Dan Orlovsky, but this was a horrible take. And when you look at the big games, the big moments, Mendoza has answered the bell. I understand you like Ty Simpson. Maybe there's something about Ty Simpson that you like in terms of his arm, and I do think he'll be in the first round. But to say that he's the better quarterback prospect than Mendoza and claiming that Mendoza didn't step up in big games, to say it's disingenuous could be further from the truth. But go ahead, BRF.
Yeah, like you're not about to sit here with a straight face. Look, being SEC, we saw plenty of Alabama game tape. We saw plenty of game highlights. We saw film. We saw Ty Simpson play. And we were lucky enough to see a lot of, with the access to videos and stuff that we have nowadays, as far as the internet and everything, we have access to watch Fernando Mendoza. We have access to watch all these players play coming into the NFL draft. You're not about to sit here and tell me with a straight face you think Ty Simpson has better game playing film currently than Fernando Mendoza. You're not going to do that, regardless of what offenses they ran, regardless of whether they were the same, whether they were different, as far as like understanding like coverages, being able to drop passes into the bucket, being able to lead their receivers, all this other stuff. You're not about to sit and tell me Ty Simpson has better film than Fernando Mendoza. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. I mean, Fernando Mendoza was just a more consistent quarterback across the board. I mean, it's really his intangibles that really set him apart above all the other quarterbacks here anyway, because when you're able to play at a high level, but then at the same time, when you're also able to really display the intangibles that lead your team to win big games, to win a national championship, there's no way, shape, or form you're about to sit here and look at me in the straight face and say Ty Simpson has a better game film than Fernando Mendoza. You're not going to do it. And even if Ty Simpson does have a ceiling, which he does, he has a ceiling because he's made he made throws at the University of Alabama that can lead you to believe he's got a shot. But even still, you're not going to tell me Ty Simpson has better film than Fernando Mendoza. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. You're not going to play in our faces. You're just not going to do it.
As I always said, don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is chocolate.
Yeah. Like I said, they need narrative. They need narrative because
it's just narrative and entertainment, champ. It's just their way to get us to get a reaction, get attention, get the clicks.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, this is good. You good. Like I said, we all friends here.
Yeah.
But I find it real ironic, though. Y'all ever notice there's a trend, right? Every time there's a defensive draft that's coming up and you have a chance to get great defensive players, whenever there's a defensive draft or there's a defensive player that's coming up. I remember back when even during the first expansion in the NFL, back in, I will say, was it 95 BRF?
Which one?
95. When Jacksonville Jaguars and the
Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, they had their first draft. Remember, the first overall pick was supposed to be Warren Sapp. And that whole draft in 94 was a defensive draft. Mm-hmm. Now, the consensus pick coming out of that draft was Kerry Collins, but people make big deals out of other guys coming out of that draft as well. I believe that that's what they're doing this year. Whenever there's a top heavy, as far as a strong presence and defense is concerned, they're going to try to put it to where there's a quarterback controversy in the draft, because it's just like, oh yeah, we got to give these quarterbacks, even though they're mediocre, and not saying that Fernando Mendoza is mediocre, but I really believe that Ty Simpson is. But we have to give a quarterback, even if he's mediocre, like Ty Simpson, the time of day to even be mentioned in that, because there's too much defensive narrative. And I just believe that that's the case for this draft, and why that whole beef with Dan Orlovsky and, the world famous Pat McAfee is even happening at this point. Because it's like, you're trying to build a narrative.
Go watch Pat McAfee.
You're trying to build a narrative based off of mediocrity.
he unloaded on Dan Orlovsky.
I hope so because that tape was trash.
Like I said, there's no controversy in this draft. It's top heavy, and with defensive players, running back, wide receiver, there's no outside of Fernando Mendoza. Okay, what other quarterback that you're going to look at and say this is going to turn around my franchise? Not many.
Because Champ, I think it's just their way because they're so desperate. Because, as you mentioned, it's a great defensive class, also a really good underrated wide receiver class as well. Because you got Carnell Tate, Makai Lemon, you also got Tyson from Arizona State. There are a lot of other great things you can discuss regarding the draft, but it comes down to for them QBs. Narrative. You always tell me, big fella, narrative. I mean, that's all they care about, and that's all they discuss. And we want to hear like something else, something that's like refreshing and new. But unfortunately, they can't give us that.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because and I'm glad you brought it up, PSP. Before we go to the next one, the wide receivers in this draft, like you brought up Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson. I mean, there's Chris Bell out of Louisville. There's Zachariah Brandt.
Conception from
there's Casey Concepcion out of Texas A&M. Like and you also brought up Makai Lemon, who might be the best.
And the Rams, they may have to look at getting another wide receiver because unfortunately Puka Nacua just can't stay out of trouble.
Can you imagine Makai Lemon in that offensive scheme with Sean McVay? Him or Jordan Tyson for that matter. They are both perfect fits for Sean McVay's scheme. They're technicians out the block with their route running, good hands, good speed. They do everything right.
And Tyson is really good with that yak.
Oh, Jordan Tyson's a beast with yak. Oh, they would fit that scheme so perfectly. Okay, just like everybody.
And you still got Devontae.
Exactly, bro. The Rams can really set themselves up to make another run this year with the right draft. Like you get one of these wide receivers, you pretty much setting your offense up to do like more great things this year. But yeah, there are more pressing issues to talk about with this draft. There's more fun things to talk about with this draft other than the quarterbacks. Because I mean, we came into 2025 before this year, college football season, hyping up this quarterback draft and how it's going to be how it had the potential to be an all-time really good draft. And you want to talk about just about all of them underperformed this year? Just about all of them underperformed this year. Whether it was Drew Allard, whether it was Garrett Nussmeier, whether
Cade Klubnik from Clemson.
Yeah, Cade Klubnik from Clemson. You might as well throw in Ty Simpson as well because he got his talk at the beginning of the season, but he played like crap the last couple of months of the season. So it's like the quarterback class went downhill after it was hyped up. So they need to quit focusing on quarterbacks so much. We just need to focus on BPAs. Who are the best players available? Quit worrying about certain positions. This is a defensive/wide receiver draft, and people just need to deal with it and let it go. Quit worrying about the quarterbacks. It's Fernando Mendoza and everybody else quarterback-wise. This is a defensive wide receiver draft this year.
And running back, the only running back that stands out, of course, is Jeremiah Love. And with the Commanders, you mentioned, Champ, with the 7th overall pick, they could either draft him, they could even go for a number 2 wide receiver because to help out Terry McLaurin, I hope they don't bring in Brandon Ayuk because the 49ers, they released him. And the only reason why they would consider it is because of his relationship with Jaden Daniels. But I'd rather go with Carnell Tate if he's available. Cleveland should get him because you need weapons. You already addressed the offensive line. You have the running back in Quinshon Judkins. You need, regardless if it's Shedeur or Deshaun Watson, I think it should be Shedeur. You got to give him some talent to work with. And especially with an offensive mind like Todd Monken there. Again, I think Shedeur will flourish with Todd Monken because Todd Monken seems like the type of guy that loves Shedeur, wants to work with him. We saw it when he arrived to Cleveland, and we saw what Todd Monken did as far as getting the best out of Lamar Jackson. 2023 to 2024, whoever thought Lamar Jackson could even get that much better as a passer to throw for 4,000 yards, almost 1,000 yards rushing, 40-something touchdowns to only 4 interceptions.
41-4.
And not win the MVP. Now, again, Josh Allen did win it, and rightfully so. I don't want to hear DEI or anything else like that. I don't want to hear that. But if Todd Monken can get the most out of Lamar Jackson, I think he can get the most out of Shedeur Sanders. Whether you believe Shedeur Sanders is not the guy or not, I think Shedeur Sanders is the type of guy for Cleveland. Because give him some weapons, give him an offensive mind. We don't know what's going to happen with Myles Garrett. I thought Myles Garrett at the time he should have left and demanded to leave Cleveland because he needed to go elsewhere to compete. But hey. But speaking of football, Jackson Smith-Njigba got the bag. He is now the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. He agreed to a 4-year, $168.6 million contract, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Smith-Njigba's new contract makes him the highest paid receiver, with averaging $42.15 million per year. They extended Smith-Njigba after exercising his 5th-year option Friday. The team also picked up the 5th-year option for defensive back Devin Witherspoon. That's big. 24-year-old receiver will now be under contract through the 2031 season. I mean, he had a career high last season, 119 catches, led the league in receiving yards, 1,793, 10 touchdowns. Great year. I don't have a problem with him getting the bag, getting the money. Some people may feel like he didn't deserve it because, again, there are other things you got to address with Seattle. You let go of Kenneth Walker. I wasn't surprised with them moving on from Kenneth Walker because I feel like at the running back position, you can move on and get someone in the draft or free agency. But I have no problem with Jackson Smith-Njigba getting his money. And he's just another testament to OSU. Wide receiver factory. Just like you say, champ, Georgia is running back you. OSU is wide receiver you.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, you got Carnell Tate. You got Jeremiah Smith coming out next year. You got Terry McLaurin. You got Emeka Egbuka before McMillan winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. It looked like the first half of the season, Emeka Egbuka was going to run away with Offensive Rookie of the Year. Ironically, the worst one so far recently is Marvin Harrison. So OSU, they're loaded. And plus, they just got this kid, Chris Henry, the son of the late, great Chris Henry from the Cincinnati Bengals.
Are you surprised he's a beast as good as Chris Henry was? Are you surprised he's a beast?
Not at all. He had to.
Raised
So
by Pac-Man Jones. Got to give Pac-Man that credit. He raised that kid after Chris Henry died, man. Big up to Pac-Man Jones.
He did. But again, OSU, they just loaded when it comes to wide receivers. Seattle, I don't know if they're going to compete, win another Super Bowl, but Mike McDonald did an amazing job with the defense last year. Baltimore sure as hell missed him. BRF, what are your thoughts?
If I'm Seattle, I think you have to do this. This was the move to make. Jackson Smith-Njigba. I'll say this though. I've been one of those that have been kind of like I've been on the bandwagon really since the Ohio State days. You know, when he wasn't healthy coming out of Ohio State, but then the Seattle Seahawks ended up drafting him, and then once he started getting playing time and seeing targets, I'm like, y'all better watch him. He's about to blow up. He's got that kind of talent. I feel like, and I continue to feel like this. The reason why Marvin Harrison was getting the hype he got was because Jackson Smith-Njigba was on the bench. I always felt Jackson Smith-Njigba was a better wide receiver than Marvin Harrison Jr. And I stand 10 toes down on business that JSN was a better wide receiver at Ohio State than Marvin Harrison Jr. If I'm Seattle, you have to do this because I promise you, he was going to get it. He was going to get it from somebody. Mm-hmm. He was going to get that bag from somebody. If I'm Seattle, you have to do this. I think, I agree. Letting Kenneth Walker go was probably the right decision because when you go back to the end of the regular season before Zach Charbonnet got hurt, he was starting to get the lion's share of the carries. he was really starting to really come into his own as RB1, and then he got hurt, and then Kenneth Walker kind of he got hot at the right time and really kind of he collected the bag from the Kansas City Chiefs. He got hot, won Super Bowl MVP. He got hot, but let's remember Zach Charbonnet was really coming to his own before his injury. So I definitely don't think they're in a bad position at all with Zach Charbonnet as RB1. I mean, I think there should be some choices out there if you want to go out in the draft and bring somebody in. I definitely think there's going to be some options for you there. Just go that route because you can always. That's the thing about the running back position. Even though it's starting to come back into the fold a little bit as far as like its value and what it means to have a good running back. They're still out there to be had. So you can go out there and draft someone to back up Zach Charbonnet, and I still think you're in good hands. Jackson Smith-Njigba really kind of you saw everything. The route running, the hands, the ability to find open holes in zone. Just you saw everything with Jackson Smith-Njigba. Everything kind of came into fruition, and that's why he was able to get this money. I mean, come on, man, like 1,700 yards. I mean, what else is there to say about a guy when you're putting up that type of production and being that consistent and winning offensive player of the year was the cherry on top. It was the cherry on top. Seattle really had to do this. So I mean, and I'm glad for the most part to see that offense coming back and hopefully trying to get in, trying to run it back. Because I mean, you still have JSN. AJ, I am a big fan of AJ Barner, the tight end. I think he's good. Keeping Rashid Shaheed I definitely think that was the move because bringing him in not only made that special teams unit better, but from the offensive standpoint, his speed and his ability to take the top off the defense really open up everything intermediate wise for JSN, for AJ Barner, for those guys to be able to kind of do their thing in coverage. So the Seattle Seahawks, I gotta give it to them. Yes, you let Kenneth Walker go, but you're doing your due diligence. You're putting your best foot forward to still bring in the best possible talent to continue this momentum that you have. So yeah, this was absolutely the right move. 100, whether it was a lot of money, that ain't the point. A guy like JSN, you got to lock up. You have to keep him in the fold because I still feel like with the NFC, the way it's unfolding right now, you still have a bit of a window. You might be able to get another one with the window where it is right now with the teams in the NFC. You have the Rams. I mean, the Eagles aren't going to go anywhere. You have the Packers. You have the Bears.
I think the Eagles took a step back, losing so many pieces. You lost Jalen Phillips. You also lost one of the secondary people. I think the Commanders did take a step up though with the free agency. Dallas did their thing a little bit in the offseason by getting Rashawn Gary. Now they gotta have to do something with those 2 first-round picks. The Rams, like I said, Miss Pat, to quote Miss Pat, fuck them kids. They're like, fuck them picks. We got Trent McDuffie. We're gonna give up draft picks just to get Trent McDuffie, one of the top 10 corners we have in football. But BRF, to your point, man, with Seattle, they're still going to keep intact, especially with the head coach and Mike McDonald, because when they brought him there, their defense that was a changer.
Yeah, that's the defensive personnel they have with the Seahawks just fits everything. It fit everything to a T. Mike McDonald wants to do. He's about heavy pressure. He's about getting after the quarterback. And most importantly, he's about letting his DBs just do their thing. Like he was blessed to have the guys he had in Baltimore before he moved. Before he took the Seattle Seahawks job, and then you leave Kyle Hamilton, but yet you're able to swoop up Nick Emmanwori. Like, come on, man, how genius is that? Basically, landing a clone. Nick Emmanwori is basically a Kyle Hamilton clone. Is pretty much what he is, and in terms of his versatility, not only being able to cover, being able to play in the defensive secondary, play center field, but being able to come up in the box, being able to play the run. I mean, you basically got a clone, and that's just the brilliance of what Mike McDonald is, what he brought to the table with the Seattle Seahawks, and then then the pass rush. Like, I mean, everything just kind of fit to a T. So it was kind of like there was no drop off with Mike McDonald as far as like being able to run his defense because everything fit to a T. So yeah, man, this is like I said, with the state of the NFC right now, Seattle could absolutely possibly get another one as long as they continue to operate the way they are and being able to basically pick out the right personnel, bring them in the fold, and just let them do their thing. Yeah, Seattle has every chance to possibly get another one in this window the way the NFC is right now.
Big fella.
He deserved every single penny. Not only that, the thing is, we got to look at what they were willing to do in order to take a risk and make him the number one wide receiver. Remember, they gave up DK Metcalf, traded him to the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that just was a clear. When they did that, it was a clear cut sign that they were willing to say that GSN is our future, is the future of the wide receiver position in Seattle. So he deserved every penny of it. Ohio State wide receiver, you man. Hey, you want a good running back? Go to Georgia. You want a great wide receiver? Go to the university, Ohio State, the Ohio State University. So I don't really have a lot to comment on at this point. I think BRF, you and BRF hit it right on the head. He deserved every bit of that money. Like I stated, it said you knew that he was liable to do some things like he's been doing the last couple of seasons because they were willing to move off of DK Metcalf in order to make him that number one. So they were willing to move off of him, and he came in and he exceeded what DK did. Exceeded. It's one thing when you move off a wide receiver and they match what they did. He exceeded what DK Metcalf did. He was on track at one point to go over 2,000 yards. And he did that while they was running the ball 65% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention, people. They were running the ball 65% of the time, and he still was able to put up those magnificent numbers. That's amazing. That is amazing.
It's like I said with OSU, how they develop and accumulate great talent at that wide receiver position. It also tells you a lot about this organization, the Seahawks. OSU, man, they had a loaded offense during the days with CJ Stroud, Marvin Harrison, Jackson Smith and Jimba, Emeka Ibuka, Chris Olave. They are loaded. You want to talk about offense for days?
You didn't even talk about the running backs. They had Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson in the backfield at the same time.
Yes, and they hell, one of those games. And I'm sorry, y'all didn't even mention this. Remember how they give y'all a heart attack champ 3 times against y'all Georgia Bulldogs?
Yes. Like I said, that game and the Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State game, I think it was back in 2016, leading up to that Baker Mayfield year. We called it, me and my good friend Calvin, we called those 2 games the heart attack games. That gave us heart attack. You want damn near want to 1 minute you just want to we got them. Then the next minute you want to pick up that damn widescreen that we was watching, which was a 95-inch screen TV, and want to throw that son of a gun out the front door because they was killing us. And you knew that we thought, and like I said, they were a kick away from beating us, but thankfully they did. But look, college football is getting better and better. I know everybody is missing the old days and stuff like that, but look, NIL has had another dimension. And the thing is, look, these teams that are deep right about now, they've always been deep. The teams that are deep right now, they've always been deep, and they've always found ways in order to get guys on their team. Ohio State has always been you're going to recruit guys based off the strength of you being Ohio State. Off the strength of that alone, you're going to get some good recruits. So for people who are going to say, well, the NIL ruined college, no, it didn't. Guess what? If NIL had ruined college football, we wouldn't have had Indiana as a team winning a national championship who hadn't won anything since damn near the 60s. And by the way, I will pat myself on the back because I said this years ago when the 16-team playoff when the 12-team playoff was first incepted. I said it firsthand. I said, before it's all said and done, we are going to have a Cinderella team that is going to come out of nowhere and is going to win a national championship, and it's going to bring parity to college football like never before. Lo and behold, in year two, we get Indiana national champions. Hasn't been relevant for years, and they come out of nowhere the last couple of years in order to go ahead and complete the story and win a national championship. The first team in the 12-team era in order to win and go undefeated, by the way. Go undefeated. Yeah, I said this years ago. I said after the 12-team playoff is accepted, if you could go back and roll the film, because the Great Sports PSP has the film, there will be a moment where a team comes out of nowhere and wins a national championship. Lo and behold, that team was in Indiana, and it was the Big Ten. So, hey, I cannot wait to see what else Ohio State and these Big Ten teams have in store for all of us at this point. It's going to be a doozy. I like what I'm seeing, man. I like what I'm seeing as far as.
Well, you better hope that Georgia, you better hope that the SEC starts to make some noise eventually at some point, because remember, you were kind of concerned. You were debunking the narrative how the Big Ten is taking over college football now with the new football playoff system.
Yeah, but the thing is, I always said, look, eventually there's a rise and there's a fall. Eventually, you're gonna have a fall, and unfortunately, we don't have the coaching power like we used to. A lot of there when we was at our peak, you had a lot of big time coaches. Now there's only like 2 or 3.
I think the biggest thing, Champ, is just the transfer portal. And not just with the SEC that's taking a hit, also the ACC. We bring up Dabo Swinney all the time. Yeah. He's still refusing to enter the transfer portal. Kurt Signetti, he's like, with the transfer portal, let's bring on all these players. Let's bring on all these players. We're going to create our own thing here in Indiana. And so far, look how it's turned out.
Yeah.
Problem is, though, with some of these coaches, they just don't want to get involved with the times. But I think with Georgia, they're going to be fine.
Yeah,
I saw a lot from Gunnar Stockton. I was actually impressed. You finally beat Alabama, because remember, you keep talking about how Alabama, how they always scare you, champ. The SEC championship game, you finally got your revenge on them after what happened previously during last season. Yeah. So there's a lot of things to look forward to. But the person under the hot seat for college football is Lane Kiffin. Given the fact that you left Ole Miss, you tried to weasel out. Now you're still in the SEC. You're in LSU now, replacing Brian Kelly. And Ole Miss was able to go far without you. Hell, they almost beat Miami.
What's so funny?
Can you imagine what big of a narrative would have been if Ole Miss won the whole thing?
What's so funny about Lane Kiffin is this. He couldn't win in Hollywood. He couldn't win in Hollywood. Look, Lindell White has personally said that he had a darn penthouse apartment when he was in Hollywood, that being USC.
Yes.
He left Tennessee after talking all of that yin-yang about, we're going to do the dance when we beat Florida this year. You remember that, BRL? Remember that dance, the world famous, I'm looking forward to the world famous dance when we beat Florida this year. After 1 year, he said USC was his dream job. And I just want to ask this right here and just set the record straight. I want to ask the whole world this right here. We're going to do the Ash Ketchum real quick. Shout out to Pokemon. And turn the hat to the front from the back. We're going to turn the hat to the front. What has Lane Kiffin actually done in his illustrious career, other than be Monty Kiffin's son, to warrant the type of coaching jobs that he has gotten? Outside of this year, his teams never made the college football playoffs. This was the first time in his history that his team has ever made a college football playoff.
And you leave in the middle of them.
You couldn't win in Hollywood.
Well, if you couldn't win in Hollywood, what the hell makes you think you're going to win down south?
Again, you could, and the thing is, you still have to deal with Kirby Smart. You still got to deal with a lot of these other coaches that are around. So there ain't no guarantee you finna go out there and just because they got a look, man, look. If the richest guys won every single year, then guess what? The big time colleges who spend the most money would win every year. Just because they give you a fat old check in order to give NIL money, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. So, yeah, he has not won anything of significance. His first year in the college football playoff, guess what? His team went farther without him. And if he doesn't win within the first 3 years, they're going to want to throw his behind in the swamp and let the alligators consume it. So there's nobody, like you said, that is on the hot seat. But I beg this question. Out of all of the programs that you have been to, what significant win do you have under your belt outside of this year with Ole Miss that warrants that type of contract? You couldn't win in Hollywood. You abandoned Tennessee. Alabama, but
outside of him beating Alabama, I think during the 2015 season, nothing really else that has really stood out. Because when they just look at Lane Kiffin, brilliant offensive mind. And plus, not only that, the NFL, we saw how you were with the Raiders. Exactly. And you didn't last that long.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
to his credit, I don't blame him for that because he tried to tell the great Al Davis, God rest his soul, that Calvin Johnson was the answer, not Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah, he made it clear about that.
I will give him credit on that. But outside of that, I will say, in the land of college football, the only thing that you're known for is these outlandish things that you're doing. And really, like I said, outside of being Monte Kiffin's son, what have you done of significance that warrants that type of contract, that these teams keep putting that type of faith in you like that? You haven't won anything big. If Kirby Smart would have left somewhere and got a contract, then guess what? I would really understand. If Kirby Smart left Georgia and got a fat ass contract somewhere, I could literally understand. He has to rap sheet in order to prove that he get. Hell, his second year, we was in the national championship. His second year. That first year was a rough year. Everybody wanted his behind gone. We wanted Mark Richt back. I ain't gonna even lie to you. I was saying bring Mark Richt back, man. We this the best he got. We ain't gonna make the
y'all were year. Hold on. Y'all was that delusional after his first year?
Yes, I was mad as hell. We won forever. I think the year before we won 12 games. We won 12 games. Could you blame me? Yes. So that first year, I was mad as hell that we even hired his ass. Then the second year, okay. Went to the net.
Boy, BRF looking at you in disbelief.
Look, one thing, I will tell you a joke, but I will never tell you a lie. Yes, that first season, I was not impressed, especially with the talent that we had on that team. We had NFL caliber talent all over that team. And we only went 8-5. Yeah, I was pissed. And I was like, man, we should have kept Mark Richt back.
I'd have been mad at hell at you and them if they had fired him his first year.
Yeah, but I was mad as hell. Like I said, it was that first year. You go from winning 10 to 12 games every year to now just like, and then being within an eyelash of a national championship, then winning 8 games. I'm like, damn, we fired Mark Richt for this. But outside of that, if you really look at Lane Kiffin's rap sheet, his best season at USC, he went 10-2. He made a little bit of noise at Florida Atlantic, had 2 10-plus win seasons. In Ole Miss, he never made the college football playoffs despite winning 10 games 4 separate times. So I ask again, and not to mention, he's 5-5 in bowl games.
Not to mention, he's never been to an SEC championship game.
Exactly. So what has he done again other than be the late, great Monte Kiffin's son in order to get a good coaching job like that and not just get him, keep getting him repeatedly? If y'all don't know who Monte Kiffin is, that's the guy who revolutionized the Tampa 2 along with Tony Dungy down there in Tampa Bay. Y'all don't know who Monte Kiffin is. Legendary defensive coach.
Yes.
Outside of that, what has he done?
Nothing.
Even when he was at Alabama, you know, if you haven't noticed this, and I'm gonna just be real, he's one of the worst staffers that came from that lane from that
Nick Saban.
Nick Saban staff. Every coach that has left that staff has at least been to at least the college football playoff. 3 are national champions right now. One, that being Kirk Cignetti, he won on 2 different levels. He won in Division 1A and Division 1 in just 3 short years. Went from James Madison, built them into a perennial program, went straight to Indiana and built them up just like that. Same thing with Kirby Smart. So if you really want me to be honest with you, you are not even the top guy who is on that staff. It could be argued that Dan Lanning is a better coach than you are. Because at least he's been in conversations every year. Outside of this year, you've never been in the conversation. You've always been on the outside looking in on college football playoffs. Always on the outside looking in on SEC championship. Even when you make it to these rinky-dink bowl games, there's no guarantee that you're going to make it then.
But Champ, isn't that the media's fault? Particularly the media giving Lane Kiffin all this credit and deference because of how he is as an offensive mind. But Champ, we know he's overrated. We know that. I mean that smile on your face says it all. I mean, we all know he's overrated because
as hell.
Yes. So same thing with Brian Kelly. We knew Brian Kelly, even though he did a lot more, went to a national championship in 2012. It wasn't going to cut it in LSU, especially when he gave that fake ass accent, that southern accent. Come on, that was awful.
I knew that. I honestly kind of felt like they were doomed when I heard that. I'm like, bro, what the hell are you doing, boy? Be yourself. Be yourself.
There is one thing that Southerners hate more than anything else.
A liar?
A phony. Southerners hate phonies.
Y'all would know that.
Being real. Southerners hate phonies, and that's, I mean, even when you are overly polite, and I know the South is known for Southern hospitality, you can tell just being polite from a phony. That is one thing that Southerners we hate is a phony. Because when the hell did you become Creole?
Right.
When the hell did you become? You're from up north. You are a Yankee by Southern standard.
You just coached at Notre Dame, boy. You better be yourself.
Be yourself. That's the thing. You can't go look. You can't look. Don't come down south bull jiving. Because they can sniff that out quicker than they can anything. They will sniff that out quicker than a Patti LaBelle pie. Trust me. Trust me on that. You can't come down south being phony. And the thing is, if you really look at if you really want me to be honest with you, if you really look at the rap sheet, who's the better coach, win for win? Look at
obviously, who's the better head coach? We all know that.
Talking about Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin?
Yeah, who's the better coach?
Brian.
That's a push. Kelly. That's a push.
He's had more success. He's been to the college football playoffs. Lane Kiffin has it.
I suppose. I suppose, but the choke jobs on Brian Kelly's side kind of brings that down a lot.
I don't blame him for losing to some of the greatest teams of all time. I don't blame you for losing to Alabama. I don't blame you for losing to
make it competitive at least.
Again, when you don't have the talent in order to compete with those teams, in order to take them that far, then guess what? I don't blame you for losing. But the thing is, you are in the conversation. Lane Kiffin has never been in the conversation.
But hold on, Champ. To BRF's point, though, there have been times he's gone far in the playoffs, regardless of the talent. Still, that's you as a head coach to motivate them to make it at least competitive. If we're going to criticize, go ahead.
And my thing is this: he turned that into the LSU job.
And you had a gang load of talent. You had Jaden Daniels, you had Brian Thomas, you had Malik Neighbors. You had a lot of talent, and you still, even with Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy in 2023, to which you said, Champ, still in all, nothing. The embarrassment of riches And you couldn't even get to not even the college football playoffs. Hell, even an SEC championship game.
Yeah.
You only went to one SEC championship game. I believe it was in 2022, and they got smacked by y'all Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, for me, the Brian Kelly, Lane Kiffin talk, I don't like calling either. See, for me, that's like Brian Kelly's better by default. He's a longer tenured Lane Kiffin is what Brian Kelly is. That's all he is. That's all he is to me. He has more years. That's all he has. He's done more when you look at it, but honestly, at the end of the day, he's Lane Kiffin with more years. That's all Brian Kelly is. For me, it's a push because Brian Kelly, honestly, as long as he's been around, he has nothing of he's been around longer and still has nothing of noteworthiness, in my opinion, to even have that conversation. For me, it's a push. For me, it's a push. I don't like either one of them. Neither one of them for me really move the needle as far as like as a head coach. Like, so it's just like, I don't know. So that's just my opinion. Like, yes, Brian Kelly, yeah, he might be the better coach by default, but that's like that bar is like low. So like and just like he has nothing of noteworthiness to really talk about Brian Kelly as long as he's been around and he has absolutely nothing noteworthy. Nah, that's a push. For me, it's a push.
Okay.
That was good though. But fellas, the moment that I've been officially waiting for, Stephen A. Smith versus Jason Whitlock. Champ, I told you have to watch the entire Stephen A. Smith response to Jason Whitlock. For those who may not know, Jason Whitlock was on Cam Newton's podcast, 4th and 1. And Cam Newton invited Jason Whitlock to give his take on a lot of things about his criticism of Cam, Jason Whitlock's, a lot of other people, and one of them most noticeably ESPN's Stephen A. Smith. He talked about Stephen A. Smith's basketball career, how he lied or exaggerated, that Stephen A. Smith is fraudulent. He brought up that Stephen A. Smith was held back in the 4th grade, which Stephen A. Smith has acknowledged. I just didn't like the fact that he used the R word, which I will not say on the air. I also had a problem with Jason Whitlock when he said, because there was the photo of Stephen A. Smith at the NBA Finals a few years ago, I think, playing solitaire. He thought that Stephen A. Smith is gay. He said, if I catch you at an NBA Finals playing solitaire, I think you're gay and you don't like basketball. He even said it's kind of like catching me playing solitaire at a strip club. And I knew that Stephen A. Smith was going to respond because, after all, it was Jason Whitlock criticizing him. And not only that, it was on Cam Newton's podcast. Cam Newton works for ESPN and comes on twice a week on First Take during the NFL season. And boy, Stephen A. Smith had a lot to say, calling Jason Whitlock, as always, fat bastard, walrus. How he accused Jason Whitlock of slipping a tape recorder during a conversation that Allen Iverson was having. He mentioned that. He mentioned how he has attacked journalists such as not only Stephen A. Smith, Chris Broussard, Scoop Jackson, Jamel Hill. He also bragged about the suit that he was wearing because God knows Jason Whitlock has no chance in hell, to quote Vince McMahon, off of pulling that suit, and how he's afraid to show off his rotund walrus body. He also pulled out money from his pocket, claiming that's what Jason Whitlock used to do back in the day, going to the strip clubs and making it rain. Even went as far as setting up a GoFundMe account for Jason Whitlock with Fat Bastard.
Bro, this wasn't like this.
I hope I never ever pissed a person off that bad.
This, I mean, come on, bro.
It was kind of like Jim Cornette
This was a saltine.
excoriating Vince Russo.
This was a saltine. Like, my God.
And Cam Newton got a lot of criticism. Stephen A. Smith, I do agree with Stephen A. Smith and Emmanuel Acho from the standpoint, if you're going to have someone like Jason Whitlock on his show, question him. Don't just allow him to continuously talk. Okay, you say you have this evidence that Stephen A. Smith lied or exaggerated about his basketball career or anything about his life. Where's the evidence or proof to show that? As Emmanuel Acho said on Speak Easy, love that podcast, there is your truth and there is the truth. Cam, Peggy, the people on 4th and 1, they could have done some research to fact check Jason Whitlock and confront Jason Whitlock with the cold-hearted facts. I didn't like Ryan Clark's response to Cam Newton, even though you can look at it and say, hey, they work in the same network, but at the same time, look, Cam Newton, it's his podcast. It's 4th and 1. He was doing 4th and 1. He was having his own thing long before he ever joined ESPN and collaborated with Stephen A. Smith. I do think, Cam, if you're going to bring in somebody like Jason Whitlock or someone that Stephen A. Smith doesn't particularly like, I'm being generous when I say that, he should have at least given Stephen A. Smith a heads up, telling him, hey, I'm bringing so-and-so on the pod. I know how you feel about this person and vice versa. How do you feel about this? Nevertheless, for anyone to tell Cam Newton who to have and who not to have on his podcast, nah. It's his baby. It's his podcast. Let him operate it how he wants. I saw Champ's reaction on social media. And also, too, another thing that Cam Newton has mentioned and pointed out, he made it clear he wanted to talk to Jason Whitlock, whether in person or on his podcast. Remember, he had Joy Taylor on his other podcast, Funky Friday.
Yeah.
And Cam made it clear he wanted to talk to Jason Whitlock.
Yeah.
Joy Taylor said, you'll never see him. And they were having the discussion, of course, when Jason Whitlock brought up Joy Taylor's Big Rack and Peanut Butter Skin, but that's a story for another day. I've said before of Jason Whitlock, he's the male version of Candace Owens. He is the type of person that a lot of white Republicans and conservatives love to hear because he will bash and attack people, black people, which he's known for doing. Even though, Champ, to your point, you did mention the Kansas City Star, how he attacked other people, but we can't ignore what he said about Serena Williams.
No.
We can't ignore what you said about Colin Kaepernick. We can't ignore what you said about LeBron James. And the other thing that Jason Whitlock really bothers me, and what I have a problem, and I want to be careful because I know BRF and Champ, I have a problem with not all, not most, but some people who label themselves as Christians. Jason Whitlock brings up Christianity a lot, faith and religion. To quote Stephen A. Smith, what has Jason Whitlock done that is considered God's work? Calling Black Lives Matter and Antifa KKK? Remember what happened with Tyree Nichols, the young black man who was killed in Memphis? He blamed single black mothers. Doesn't even think that women should have the right to vote. That's God's work. I don't have a problem with Stephen A. Smith responded because for so long, Jason Whitlock attacked Stephen A. Smith and chose not to say anything. But I think Stephen A. Smith has reached the point, enough's enough. I also love the fact when Stephen A. Smith said, you can't fuck with me, Jason. There's levels to this. And yours is as small as a cockroach.
I like that, man. I like that.
Well, I mean, Jason Whitlock, in terms of his career, his career is like an ant. Stephen A's career is just on a entirely different stratosphere. Look, I've had my criticism with Stephen A. Smith. about some of the things that he has said, especially about prominent Black women like Joy Reid, Jamel Hill, Jasmine Crockett, especially. But I've often said, compared to Jason Whitlock, he is a babyface. And I also want Champ to really listen and pay attention, because he has often said on my pod, especially, his greatest fear of all is for anyone to compare him to Jason Whitlock. He said the moment someone compares him to Whitlock, he's done. In other words, he's done with content creation, which I will not allow. I'll get Mama Champ, I'll get Ace on the phone, and I'll convince them to convince Champ not to give up the content creation. Because Champ has worked his ass off. Champ is a good, fair-minded man. I don't, for anyone to compare him to Jason Whitlock, that is a testament to just how ignorant and dumb you are, because you don't know this brother. But with Jason Whitlock, you've attacked a lot of people. You attacked people with mental disabilities. You use the R word, racist, misogynistic, and you're accusing people of having feminine energy. Remember, Champ, he was on Patrick Bet-David show, and he was supposed to have a debate with Roland Martin, and his fat ass had to leave that debate because Lord knows, Roland Martin is one of the smartest, brightest, brilliant brothers out there.
Yes, indeed.
We know Jason Whitlock's ass has no chance of beating Roland Martin. That's kind of like you always say, Champ. It's kind of like going to Vietnam with a BB gun.
Exactly.
Everything about Jason Whitlock is bullshit. Simple Simon motherfuckers. To quote Denzel Washington from the movie American Gangster. That's who he is. He's as real as Vanilla Ice's bio. He's as real as Vanilla Ice's bio. He's as real as Rachel Dolezal.
Oh man.
That's who Jason Whitlock is, because Jason Whitlock claims that he's this Christian, that he's this brilliant sports journalist. The only person that really will come to Jason Whitlock's defense, it just happens to be one Sage Steele. And we all know how Sage Steele is.
Yeah, and Marcellus Wiley to his credit, you know.
Yeah, Marcellus Wiley to his credit, but yes. But Jason Whitlock, like I said it before, everything about him, and it's obvious, he's so jealous and he's obsessed with Stephen A. Smith. He denies it, but we all know for a fact you can't mess with Stephen A. Smith. You just jealous, bro, because Stephen A. Smith, he's around the same age as you. April of 1967, Jason Whitlock was born. Stephen A. Smith, October of 1967. He's just jealous. It's because he has more personality than you. He has more game than you. He has more money than you. He can afford the right type of studio, the right type of equipment. Jason, I mean, you ain't got that. And on top of that, do you really think people would actually be attracted to your ass? I mean, look, Cam Newton said it best. You ain't that guy. When you were trying to when you talked about Joy Taylor.
You are not helping this battle, BR. I'm trying my best to keep a straight face. You are not helping this.
Hey, I'm speaking the truth. I'm speaking the truth. I'm speaking the truth. I'm speaking the truth. I am speaking the absolute, undeniable truth. Nobody cannot argue with me on that.
What do you want me to do? I can't hold it.
I was sitting over here trying to keep a straight face. I'm glad I was.
Why am I supposed to believe what Jason Whitlock is saying is true? Everything that is coming out of his mouth is true. Like I said before, don't tell me the shit coming from your drawers is chocolate. Or as Bill Walsh said if he was walking through a men's locker room, he'd be whistling "Strangers in Paradise." Jason Whitlock is just so full of shit. And who's the guy on Speak Easy who's around the bar lounge who's standing? The light-skinned brother.
That's his name's Kieran too.
Oh, Kieran.
Brilliant brother.
Yeah. I follow him on it. We're mutual.
Yeah, I follow him on his
We're
TikTok. His
mutual on
name's Kieran
TikTok.
too. Yeah, his name's Kieran.
He said it best. And shout out to our good friend Kieran as well. Knows his football stuff. Please follow him as well. He said it best. Say whatever you want about Stephen A. Smith. People have aspirations to be Stephen A. Smith. Who the hell wants to be Jason Whitlock? Who the fuck wants to be Jason Whitlock? Somebody out on the street? Who really wants to be Jason Whitlock? Who really wants to be associated or affiliated with someone like him? Who really wants to have the type of character like he has? The way that he attacks people, men, women of color. Who really wants to be associated with Jason Whitlock? Unless you some trifling, simple ass motherfucker. I got more to say, but whoever wants to go.
BRF, I'm gonna get your ass after this show. I'm gonna get your ass after this show. I'm gonna get you after this show. I can't keep a straight face.
For what? Hey, let me tell you something. PSP out here telling the complete, unadulterated truth. I'll try to keep a straight face, but I'm sorry. Jason Whitlock deserves every insult that comes his way. I can't help it. Jason.
Hell, he makes Uncle Ruckus look like Gandhi.
Boy, what? I'm telling you, make Uncle Ruckus look like Malcolm X, bro. I'm telling you, man. We ain't got Jason. Let me tell you something. Jason Whitlock. Okay, part of me kind of hated that I got the floor first about this, but then part of me kind of liked the fact that I have the floor first one about this. So I'm gonna bring it down a little bit. I'm gonna try to. But here's the thing, though. We got to be real. We got to be real about this at the end of the day. We got to be real about this. And I said it at the beginning. Anytime, and the thing is, I've had my issues with Stephen A. Smith in the past as far as some of the stuff he said, because I feel like he's been kind of showing his true colors a little bit. But every once in a while, he kind of has his coming to God moment where he comes back and he remembers who he is, and then he kind of speaks some truth. And I'm sorry, Jason, what's Too Short's favorite word? That's Jason Whitlock. That's Jason Whitlock in a nutshell. He's that. He's fake. He's phony. And me being a Christian myself, me being a Baptist, it's like you see a lot of like these, you see a lot of the people that try to weaponize Christianity and use it in a way where they feel like they can get away with judging certain people from and all this stuff. And me being who I am, and me going through like my upbringing and then growing up, going away from home, going to Statesboro, Georgia Southern, attending that university, seeing the different cultures, seeing the different people, meeting all walks of life. You learn stuff, not only about yourself, not only about other people, but most importantly about yourself, as far as like how you were and how you should be in order to further progress in your life to be a better person. And a lot of the friends I made at Georgia Southern University helped me become a better person, because when you're raised up in that life, you can be judgmental, and sometimes you can kind of live with a bit of like tunnel vision and not necessarily see from other people's perspective. But then when you sit down and you really talk to people and you learn and you listen to people and you get their perspectives, you understand. And then you can just kind of take that, you mold it with your person. You kind of mold some of that into your personality, and it makes you a better person. So when I see people like Jason Whitlock kind of weaponize that against other people, it makes me sick. It does. It makes me sick from the standpoint of you look at how, if you grew up into that and you read the Bible and you went to church and you know the type of person that God was, like this stuff that is going on nowadays, seeing people weaponize their religion against others. Let me tell you something. He would probably want to come down and just smack the taste out of every single one of their mouths, because it's like, no, this ain't how it's supposed to be. This ain't how it's supposed to be. This is turning water into wine. This is a loaf of bread and fish to 5,000 people. This is rubbing mud in a blind man's eyes to help him see. Like, like none of those miracles that he performed for other people is in any way, shape, or form a testament as far as like what's going on today, as far as like what people say and how people talk and how people act. And it's just crazy to me how like somebody like Jason Whitlock has a platform, has all these people listening to him, following him, and then just has the, hate to steal a phrase from Stephen A. Smith, but to just flat out have the unmitigated gall to go out there and just say some of this ridiculous nonsense and then believe it. Like have conviction in it and believe it. And it's wild to me because we being who we are, coming up in the sports talk game ourselves, having this podcast, doing this on a weekly basis, having goals for ourselves, having aspirations to be better than where we are right now. We see people like him and it's like, bro, I'm gonna need you to get the hell out the way because you're not about to drag us down as far as what we want to be in the future. You got to move. You know what I'm saying? You get in your own lane, you stay over there. We got our own lane and we want to be 10 times better than you because we come with it genuine, we come with it real, and we come with it the way we supposed to. And part of that is not judging anybody just because of how they look or how they feel or how they talk or how they act. That wasn't, and the damn sure wasn't how I was raised. And I just see people acting like that, and it's just it lessens hope for humanity with a lot of these people. So when I meet good people and I talk to them and I learn and I see how genuine that they are, it kind of brings some of that hope back. Jason Whitlock does not do that. He doesn't do that for me at all. If anything, like it, if anything, it makes me feel good about myself because I know one thing for certain: when I pass him, that's a low ass bar because that ain't nothing worth passing. We'll pass him and keep it pushing. That ain't nothing worth passing Jason Whitlock in the eyes of people as far as like who you are as a journalist and all that other stuff. That's not an accomplishment because he ain't shit. He ain't nothing. He's nothing. It's wild to me. It's wild to me how people can really be the way they are and like just kind of just have conviction in their feelings, and it's just the whole thing is just misconstrued, and it's so twisted and just so taken for a loop, like just so many meanings of words and all this other stuff just been misconstrued and are now just here to represent a certain thing when it doesn't even mean that at all. Like woke. Speaking of a word that's been misconstrued and twisted and pulled and tugged into so many different things that it feels like it's lost its complete meaning. We know what that word really means. We know what that word means, and they just use it in such a context that just misconstrues the whole point of the word in the first place. But
look, it tells you something. Look, when Nick Fuentes of all people is calling you a token,
Nick Fuentes of all people calling you a token, and we know how fake and how evil Nick Fuentes is when he's
that should tell you all you need to know.
That should tell you all you need to know about what type of person Jason Whitlock is. For my sake, and hopefully for his sake, I don't know what it's going to take, what type of act of God it's going to take for him to see some type of light. But Jesus, like, let me tell you something. That brought joy to my heart. Seeing Stephen A. Smith do that. I wanted to put
he I think
somebody put I think on one of the videos somebody literally put the ether beat behind it. Because that's how bad it was. I mean, talking about your ratings, talking about his ratings and I mean everything Stephen A. Smith was saying was the truth. Jason Whitlock don't hold a candle to that man. And like I said, I've had my issues with Stephen A. and some of the stuff he said recently. But you know what? At the end of the day, at least one of them remembers he's a black man. At least one of them remembers that. We know. I try my hardest. I try my hardest not to think of insults for that man. I try my hardest to be nice and respectful. I try my hardest.
I apologize for being too graphic. Jason Whitlock just can't stop obsessing. Jason Whitlock just can't stop obsessing about Stephen A's dick.
Bro, he stay on it 24/7. Let's just keep it on it. He stay on it 24/7. I mean, honestly, he ought to. Let me tell you something. He ought to bring a spending night bag. He ought to
And
pack
he's
a lunch.
talking about
He ought to
people,
bring
and
some
he's
shoes. He ought to bring some shoes. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
some thong underwear,
Boy,
some shit.
I'm at this point. I'm surprised homeboy don't have a hotel key at this point. The way he stay on that man. That's just all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Bring $40. Like do something.
Hotel. His ass is probably stay at a motel.
Like boy, like Motel 6. Somebody need to keep the light on for real. I'm just saying. Like
But like I said, man, I just get offended and annoyed when he brings up God. BRF and you, champ, you talk about, you always bring up God, you always bring up, and when I hear it from y'all, it's genuine. But when I hear it from Jason Whitlock, what is it about him that is genuine? Tell me, what is it about him that is genuine? What, the fact that you known for going to the strip club and try to flirt with all these women, which you couldn't even mac? That all them women probably said no to your fat ass? That's what it seems like.
Man, that man he probably didn't even have no. He probably didn't have no real bills to make it rain. He probably had some rolled up. He
What, the
probably brought
Russia
some rolled
bills?
up. He probably took some rolled up coins up in there and made it hell. That's probably what he did.
Oh my God, y'all are killing me over here, bro.
He made it hell. He didn't make it rain.
Man.
He made it hell. I mean, he definitely didn't make it snow. He ain't that smooth. He made it hell is what he did.
Oh,
this is why we're called the highlight of Friday nights, people.
I'm just saying.
I'm
just
saying.
Big fella, the floor is yours.
Okay, first and foremost, BRF, man. But I gotta say this, number one. PSP is absolutely right. I've always said ever since I was and BRF, I've always said these to you when we first met. I said, look, man, being compared to him was my worst fear in sports journalism. I said the day that somebody compared, I said the day that I start to sound like that or anybody compares me to that, it's time for me to leave the game. It's time for me to quit. I said I'd never pick up another mic again because that's probably the worst thing that could happen because I don't think he's fair. I'm gonna be nice about it this evening because I think we got the mean parts. I don't think he's fair, and I don't think
I have more, but go ahead.
I don't think he's fair. Let's sweeten up this coffee before you throw it on him. But
listen, I have more hot takes for him than he has with meals. But go ahead.
Man, ain't nothing wrong with a good meal. But anyway, had me a good one before the show started. But anyway, low carb, by the way. Anyway,
it wasn't him, but go ahead.
But I'll say this. He talks about being a Christian, but I always say this. Let's go to the book of Proverbs. And it says the book of Proverbs likens gossip to delicious morsels, a tasty treat that promises delight to those who indulge. That's what gossip is to people. Those who can't entertain themselves, they have to entertain themselves with other people and their problems. That's the thing. And look, it's very, very easy to talk about somebody when you're not as successful as they are. It's very, very easy to get jealous. Very easy. This happens every day. You could be doing the same thing as somebody else. And guess what? They might have more followers than you. They may have more of a backing than you. Somebody might put some money behind them, and you get jealous of that. The thing is, you just didn't play your cards right in order to be in that position, which you was once in that position in order to be great. I never forget seeing Jason Whitlock on Who's Number One on Sports Center. I remember reading some of his articles from the Kansas City Star when he was criticizing Bill Peterson, Marty Schottenheimer in the front office. I remember all of that. My father used to sit me down, and I used to read articles from him and a lot of other journalists. So I remember reading those articles, and they wanted to run him out of town with picket signs out of Kansas City because of the way he was criticizing them, especially for them not winning a Super Bowl. But the thing is, you're supposed to be talking about sports, but instead you talk about everything but sport. That's my problem. You're not talking about sports. You're not giving any critiques sports wise. You're not getting anything sports wise. You're just giving a lot of hot takes that really don't mean anything. I think that's what's killing sports right about now. A lot of hot takes and no substance to go behind it. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, I believe you should have cut your hair." What good does that do? What good does it do? People are going to criticize you regardless. And he spoke about Michael Jordan on that interview. Michael Jordan cut his hair. He had a bald head. He always had a suit. Everything else. He never mentioned politics or anything like that. Guess what? He was criticized for never mentioning politics on both sides.
Hey, Republicans buy sneakers too.
Exactly. So he was criticized on both sides. That's just by black folks, but by the other side as well. So he was criticized by both sides. He was not only criticized for that, but he was also criticized. Remember the Nike controversy over, the fact over the sweatshops that they had over there in China? He said once the season was done, that he would personally make sure that everything is copacetic, and he never had a chance in order to do it because of all the stuff that was going on during the off season when he first retired. Yeah, you're going to get criticized regardless. So to Cam's point, why not be yourself? I don't have a fake ass image to sell anybody. And as Allen Iverson and Cam Newton and all of those guys have proved, I can be more of a product selling myself, being myself, that is, than trying to sell someone a fake facade of myself. That's the thing. I will say this, though. I think that Cam should have been a little bit more careful with having him on the show, because I'm not going to lie. Maybe I have loyalty issues, but if I know that one of my guys, whether they be UPSP, whether it be UBRF or Flash, if they beefing with somebody, I can't allow you on my show, bro. I don't care how
No. Actually, champ, I don't have a problem with it, because at the end of the day, it's your pod. You get to determine it how you see fit.
But that's my loyalty. That's my loyalty talking. I can't have you on my platform, especially when I know that there is a chance that you're going to say something about somebody who I care about.
Fair enough.
I read, and then I'm not going to take too kindly of the words that you may or may not say. That's just the thing. And that's just me. Like I stated, that's me being me. Like I said, if I know one of y'all got a problem with someone, regardless of how big their platform is, especially if my platform is bigger, our platform is bigger than theirs. Sorry about that, BRL. If I know that we're bigger than they are, then guess what? Why in the hell would I bring them on there knowing that there's a chance? Number one, you're finna get all type of free publicity, number one. Why would I give you that position? Number two, guess what? My audience may get to your side and start following you. Why would I want to give you that? And like I stated, there's a chance that you might say something about one of my people that I don't necessarily appreciate you saying about them. Like I said, I really don't care what people say about myself, outside a few things, but you start saying stuff about people I care about, then we got a problem. Because number one, keep them out of that. That ain't got nothing to do with what's going on here face to face or computer to computer. So to Ryan Clark's point, I understand that, because you run the risk of somebody saying something derogatory about someone, and you run the risk of saying, hey, man, I brought you here, man. Why you sitting around here, having guys on your platform like that, knowing that this dude might say something crazy about me? But to Cam's credit,
he brought up Carmelo.
Yeah, but to Cam's credit, hey, he bought him here because of the things that he was saying about Cam, not necessarily to
Stephen A. Smith, which was Cam's real objective. He made it clear that, he made it clear because I'm sorry to cut you off, champ. The only reason why he brought Jason Whitlock on the show is because of Jason Whitlock's criticism of Cam regarding his play, especially his outfits. Now, champ, I do agree, but I think, first of all, it is Cam's show. But I do think Cam should have given Stephen A. Smith a heads up, letting him know, hey, I'm going to bring so-and-so on my pod. How do you feel about this? Cam should have asked as much questions, though. When Jason Whitlock was making these claims, okay, Jason, where's your proof? Where's the evidence that Stephen A. Smith lied or exaggerated about his basketball career? Where is the proof or evidence? Because he still keeps claiming that to this day. And he's claiming that Stephen A. Smith is lying. He's talking about the truth. Jason, what about you is truthful?
I would say
Tell me.
Look, if you put all of that damn energy into trying to bring somebody else down, what are you really trying to do at the end of the day? That's the thing. I'm not going to do all this research on someone who I ain't making money with or anything. And with this whole Stephen A., with Jason Whitlock versus Stephen A., it's really a one-sided beef if you really want me to be honest with you. It's kind of like a dog barking and howling at the moon. And that's how come Stephen A. only respond to him like twice. It's just like a dog barking and howling at the moon. Now the dog don't even know why he barking and howling at the moon. The moon don't care half the time. He can't shut the moon off. He can't touch the moon. The moon just sit there and it shines. That's just the thing. I wouldn't even. The thing is with these guys, I think you know me better than any. Y'all two know me better. When people get to trolling on the internet, I don't even respond. I laugh. I say thank you I thank them for their opinion. Thank you for your opinion. I appreciate that. I ain't finna get me bad. For what? I don't know you. So that's the thing. I really don't even respond to people on the internet unless they got a valid point they want to say. Then we can have a little back and forth about sports banner, and then I thank them for their opinion and they move on. But I wouldn't even respond. I'm gonna let you talk because the fact that you have to talk about me every time in order to get ratings says a hell of a lot more about your POS TV show, your POS podcast, and your POS demeanor. And when I say POS, I'm not talking about point of sale. So that's just it. The whole Jason Whitlock situation, I really feel like this. Number one, you are attacking everybody, not about sports, but about agendas that you deem. We have it. Look, Cam brought up a valid point. Nobody tells Trevor Lawrence to cut his hair. Are we going to sit around here and tell Trevor Lawrence that we're not in the good old days anymore, where long hair was considered hippie-ish? We see executives now with long hair. Major executives, black and white. All of that, I'm going to cut my hair doing all that. That doesn't apply anymore. It's gone. And the thing is, like I said, be yourself. The worst thing that people hate is a phony. I would rather for you to be hated for who you are than for be loved than what you are not. And Jason, man, I'm going to just be real bad. Stop giving us big dudes a bad name, bro. You be making us look horrible with all of that old bull jive rhetoric that you be doing. That is nasty. You talk about all types of stuff. It's weird at a certain
weird.
point.
It's just weird. Insane. Chip, did you hear what he said about Michael B. Jordan?
Again, like I said, it's weird at a certain point.
No, champ, come on. You got on a lot of people on social media, rightfully so. When Josh Allen won the MVP award, when they said the DEI award, you were furious.
Yeah, he called Michael Jordan winning the Oscar DEI Oscar.
How the fuck is that DEI when he was widely anticipated to win it?
Again, everybody was clamoring. Everybody on every side was clamoring about Michael B. Jordan winning that Oscar. Everybody was talking about it. And it's just so, like I stated, and what pisses me off when people use the word DEI, especially when you got idiots like Kid Rock and Jason Whitlock talk about DEI.
Oh, you're talking about Hillbilly Vanilli.
Yes, exactly. I couldn't have said it better. You're not even from down south. You rocking a fucking rebel flag.
Thank you.
You're
You
a
from
fool.
Detroit. You from Detroit,
You're from
homeboy.
Detroit.
You shot
Well,
that guy. You shot that during
Bro,
Turning
he's not
Point
really
USA
from. He's
thing.
not
he's from
exactly from
Romeo.
the.
My bad. One of the guys
He's
corrected us in one of the. He's
yeah,
from
TikTok.
Romeo. He's from Romeo, Michigan.
Either way, you're not from the
That's
South.
even.
You're
He's
not from
He's
Mississippi
from
or
a town
Alabama or
called.
anything.
Wait, whoa. He's from a town called Romeo, Michigan.
Yeah, Romeo, Michigan.
That's even worse, bro.
No, yeah, one of the guys corrected us in the comments when we started. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that. But yeah, but the thing is,
Romeo.
he was the DEI of hip hop because remember, D Nice, all of these guys was vouching for him, and you still couldn't sell over 50,000 copies of your first record. Your first real blow up didn't happen until 2001 when that the machine got behind you with TRL and all of those guys. So yeah, so when people use that term, and that's the reason why I get so ticked off when people use the term DEI. Like, learn what that means. Learn what it means.
And
Again, when you're the most qualified for the job, it's no such thing. It's not. That's not DEI. Michael B. Jordan was the most qualified. And the thing is, look, I follow Michael B. Jordan. I remember Michael B. Jordan from The Wire. I remember that. I remember him on the soap operas. Remember the soap operas that used to come on, All My Children and all that? I remember him being on there. I remember him being on Hardball with G-Baby.
Yes.
I remember that. So he is an aspiring actor. And so for him to win that in a horror movie and for it to take place like that, it's just like, come on, man. I don't know what it is
for him to win it. For him to win it as young as he still is, he's still only 38.
He's only 38. He's the new. I know you push back on this a lot. I asked him, is he the new Denzel? I really think that he has the potential to.
He has the potential. He has. Yeah. Yeah. He has. That's what. Yeah. Like I'm like he has the potential because he finally has that. He has that established. Well, he's had a lot of really, really good movies now. Don't get it twisted. Like Fruitvale Station. He had the Creed movies. And people, man, we still talk about him as Killmonger in Black Panther. How good of a role that was. He finally has that. Like for me with Sinners, like because like with like when you look at Denzel, like he had glory almost like right out the gate. So he had something that put him in Academy Award talks like from the jump. And for me, this is finally his for Mike. Even though like I said, he had Fruitvale Station, he had Creed. Like even with Creed, with the first one, it wasn't him getting the award talk. It was Sylvester Stallone, who ultimately won Best Supporting Actor for the first Creed. Mm-hmm. So this was finally the role for him to really like say, yeah, I'm like one of the best in the world at this. And the fact that some people were even saying like his performance was overrated. I'm like, bro, this man literally played 3 roles. He was Smoke, he was Stack, and he was Stack as a vampire. This man literally played 3 roles and nailed every single one of them. So what in your right mind got you thinking he wasn't, in my opinion, clearly the best performance of the year? And he beat out good performances. Don't get me wrong. I still want to see One Battle After Another with Leonardo DiCaprio. I want to see that movie. But even still, like what he did in Sinners, what he did for that role was like he made it his. Yeah. And because because like I think like the big rumor that's going around, RIP Chadwick Boseman, if he was alive, this was supposed to be them two.
Yeah.
So just think about the added pressure putting on Michael B. Jordan. Honestly, I feel like as good as if Chadwick Boseman was still alive, as good as that movie would have been with him, I think the idea and the premise behind this movie with Michael B. Jordan playing twin brothers made it that much better because it was unique. And it was just something that stood out from the rest. And I think Michael B. Jordan playing twins made the whole premise of the movie like even that much better. And to pull it off the way he did, like I don't even see why people are even trying to downplay this man as how good he was.
Because that's Jason Whitlock. And back to Jason Whitlock, he is an absolute contrarian. He will say and do whatever to take away and tarnish black people. Fair or unfair, that's just who he is. That's his reputation. Yep. And I call him the male version of Candace Owens because, like Candace Owens, she used to say a lot of crazy shit about black people. Jason Whitlock is that.
Yeah.
And I can't. And when Jason Whitlock, given his history, the things he has said about black people, how the way he has attacked women, Jemele Hill, Katie Nolan of ESPN, Remember Champ, Maria Taylor, bashing people, Scoop Jackson, Chris Broussard, Stephen A. Smith. Remember when he tried to have the undefeated? Remember, he tried to recruit Tanahashi Coates, Jemele Hill, Howard Bryant, Stephen A. Smith. All of them were like, hell no, because they know deep down Jason Whitlock's true colors.
Yeah.
To Stephen A. Smith's point, have you seen Jason Whitlock in actual NBA games, professional games since? No, because they can't trust him, and they know for a fact they're waiting to confront him because they know what type of shady person he is. I mean, we're not going to forget the things you said about Kobe Bryant before he passed away. We're not going to forget that. Yeah. We're not going to forget. Remember, you called Kobe Bryant the most fraudulent superstar we have ever seen.
Dan discredited Magic Johnson for saying he's the greatest Laker ever.
Yeah, he did.
Dan discredited him for saying he's the greatest Laker ever. What's the problem with that is you can't. It did try to switch up his story after the late great one died. So that's the thing, man. Like I said, it's about being consistent, not being phony. And the thing is, if all the thing you have to say is gossip, is that really godly? Because the Bible teaches against gossip. That's just being real. That's just being real. You haven't had anything legitimate to say since you left. Since you left ESPN, it's just been a lot of bashing.
Nobody wants him, and eventually, sooner or later, he's Glenn Blake's the Blaze. They're gonna move on from him. Exactly. ESPN, they moved on from him. Fox, they moved on from him. Outkick, they moved on from him. Heck, he moves on from jobs just like he moves on from his diets.
Again,
Jason Whitlock has look. I'm sorry, Champ. I have a lot to say. To me, I don't like using the term with Jason Whitlock, but when I watch him talk, hearing him talk, he's a cancer. He is a cancer to me because someone who has aspirations of being a content creator, whether sports journalist or something, he's a cancer because he is not somebody that you should look at and say, hey, this is who we want to be. He is the exact opposite. And he just gives people bad names. He gives black people bad names. He gives big people like y'all bad names.
Looking like a
he gives content creators bad names. Who wants to be Jason Whitlock? Who in your mind really has aspirations to be Jason Whitlock? Who wants to look at themselves in the mirror and say, yeah, I want to be Jason Whitlock. I want to have this biblical truth. I'm going to go on the mic and I'm going to say a lot of derogatory things about people of color, black women, black men, saying all these things. I mean, look, man, he cannot stop. And I'll say it again. As graphic as it sounds, he just can't get off Stephen A. Smith's dick.
Looking like healthy.
He can't stop riding his dick.
Bro, chill out, bro. Chill out. Man, look, the reason I keep saying chill out is this, man. I'm gonna just be real.
No, I'm sorry. I gotta get this off my chest, but damn, hey, I look, man.
BRF, you can attest to this because we know we the big boys on this thing. You can attest to this. You all know that big dude who always thought that him making a lot of money was just gonna unlame him for a fact. So
And it made him
hard,
worse.
and that made that motherfucker. Damn, my
Made him
bad.
made him made him 5 times
It
worse.
made him worse than ever. And
Oh,
that's what he reminds me of. He reminds me of that dude. Well, not just even a big dude. He reminds you of that lame guy from school. And lame is a look. Before I go into being lame, lame is a state of mind. Lame ain't about the music that you listen to. It ain't the way you dress. It ain't the way. It's about how
it's
you
how you
carry
present
yourself.
your. It's how you present
It's
yourself.
how you present yourself. And I'm not talking about the clothes you got on there. I'm talking about the way that people receive you, the way that you respect yourself, the way that other people respect you, or whatever. Because you can listen to bop, pop bop, and still be respected. So it ain't about everything else. He just reminds me of one of those guys who made a lot of money and thought that was going to change everything, and thought that was going to be his verdict and be his way out. And that thought that it was going to change people's opinion. That thought that he was going to, you know, move opinions about himself, and it didn't work. And it's just like journalism is my way out. But at the end of the day, you never amounted to anything as far as your peers were concerned. Scoop Jackson, well respected. I'm gonna quote the Ultimate Warrior. God rest his soul, Jim Hellwig. There was a promo that he did against Ted DiBiase. He said, "All the money in the world can't buy what it takes to be a champion, and the world don't sing your praises because of C notes." That was one of the most crazy. That was one of my favorite promos by the Ultimate Warrior, and he just reminded me of one of those dudes that really thought that status and money was going to change the way. And Cam brought up a good point. He's like, "Hey, did you not wear nice suits when you was on?"
The
You
man
know,
was wearing fedoras.
he was wearing a fedora. He was wearing fedora, had a little bling in his ear, what have you. He was doing stuff like that as well. And the thing is, look, I keep my hair cut low all the time, probably because I've just been doing it all my life as a habit right about now. Been doing this since I was a child. But the thing is, that does not define who you having a low haircut and having a suit on is not going to make people look at you any differently, regardless. If people are going to, this is the age of narrative now more than ever. If people are going to hate you, the hell, Warren Moon and Doug Williams had low haircuts. They wore suits everywhere they went. They were still hated. So at the end of the day, guess what? If you're going to sit around here and criticize me when I look the part, I can just imagine what you're going to do. I might as well just not even try at this point to fit the narrative that you want me to fit, because you're going to look down upon me anyway. Those guys were looked down upon still. They had the low haircuts. They had the suits. They had everything going on. They were still looked down upon. Randall Cunningham as well. They got strongly criticized. So all of this narrative about and I never did get the whole gimmick, the way Cam Newton dresses. What the hell does that have to do with, number one, his knowledge of the game? What does that have to do with the fact that he won an MVP? He's a legend in the NFL. He knows what he's talking about as far as sports is concerned. I will say that much. But there's been a lot of outlandish shit that he said outside of the sports realm. I look at Cam like, boy, your mob ain't deep enough for you to be talking about that. Well, your mob is deep. That's why you need to stop talking about it. But I digress. But with Cam, he's a well-respected ball player. A lot of guys grew up wanting to be Cam. He got recruited by Florida. He won a national championship in the Heisman at Auburn. He's well-respected. So what is hair going to change the fact that he's not respected anymore? No. Is his dress? And the thing is, it's the craziest thing about it. People always criticize the way Cam Newton dress. Every time I see him, he has on a shirt tucked in his pants. He has a pair of loafers on. He has a tie on, whether that be a bow tie or a real tie. He looks like a preppy, like he looks like he goes to Harvard, and he just added a little swagger to it. He looks like he goes to an Ivy League school. The only thing that he does is dress up in polo and put a hat on and put a jersey on to pay homage to the great players of all time, and that's what he does. That's the only thing that he does. It's always shirt, tie. Never seen him wear a t-shirt. So just because you don't like the way he dresses, oh yeah, that's immature. I don't like the way he dressed. Look at his hair. We're not in the damn 60s anymore. This is not the hippie age. And that does not take away his knowledge. That does not take away from the hot takes that he has had, that he's been right on the money about, by the way. And that does not take away from his illustrious career in the NFL. And if you have to nitpick, and at this point, I'm going to just be real. If you have to nitpick at this point in time, it's 2026. If you have to nitpick in order to find something wrong, you just digging for peanuts at this point. Because Cam didn't get his coach fired. Cam wasn't in trouble with the media or off the court or off the field. He wasn't in trouble. He wasn't getting in trouble. He wasn't doing all that other nonsense. The only two things that you could really say about Cam is the way of how people kind of fed him a lot of crow when it came to Mr. Richardson, the late, great Mr. Richardson, and how, you know, he was involved in that scandal. And Cam said, well, damn, I feel some type of way because he's the one who drafted me and brought me here.
And the comments, the sexist comments about the female reporter, it's funny to hear a female talk about routes.
And he lost, and he paid the consequences and lost that endorsement as a result. And he accepted accountability.
With Gannon. Yep.
So, yeah, he lost it. He was like, yeah, I deserve it. Yes, I shouldn't have said that. And that's what it is. But the thing is, okay, I don't like the way you dress. Okay. I got a shirt and a tie on and a suit on. And my shirt is tucked in my pants. Was that not the dress code growing up? They told you in corporate America, you was going to have a shirt, a tie, slacks, shirt tucked in your pants, and a pair of good shoes on. Not tennis shoes, good shoes. Only thing he did is just grew his hair out and put a hat on.
By the way, champ, I've told you before, and one of the reasons why you mentioned, the reason why I grew up admiring and idolizing Allen Iverson, because even though there were things in his life he should have handled differently, at the end of the day, he became himself. Yes. And more importantly, he destroyed the narrative. Well, just because you don't wear a suit and tie, that means you're unprofessional or that means you're a thug. No. Yeah. And look, we've seen a lot of people wearing suits and ties. In court,
thugs in the damn industry. And the thing is, look, I'm gonna take it back even further. The myth that your hair had to be cut damn low, and you had to do all of that your hair had to be cut low, and you couldn't have an afro, you couldn't do none of this. That myth should have been debunked by one person, and it wasn't even Allen Iverson. It should have been debunked by Dr. J. Everybody wanted to be like Dr. J. Yes, he was elegant. He wore his shoots and tie. But guess what? He had a damn afro this big. Did disco and everything. Well-spoken black man. Well-spoken man in general. But the whole world looked up to him. If you go back and look at the hidden documentaries, not the bull job that they're erasing and editing now, but the true documentary of the ABA that was made, a lot of the reason why they wanted to merge is they wanted to bring Julius Erving to the NBA.
Because of his personality and what he meant both on and off the court.
Yes, and because of the appeal to what? Middle America. Remember the Dr. Chapstick commercials?
Yes.
So all of that should have been debunked back then when you saw Julius Erving, who Middle America wants their kids to be like, when he had a big-ass afro that was out here, and he had a certain tie on. That myth should have been debunked then. Now, as he got older, he cut his hair eventually, but he had at his prime, at his peak, He had the biggest afro in the world, and everybody wanted to be like him. Everybody described his professionalism, everybody described his elegance, and everybody described how great of a man that he was, both on and off the court.
And he was peaceful. Look,
Exactly.
Larry Bird. It took Larry Bird to get every bit of Dr. J to take a swing at him. Because Dr. J is known for being peaceful.
Yeah.
But
so that myth should have been debunked with him. You got that does not how I dress ain't got like I said, guys was wearing bell bottoms in there. Go back and look at it. Dr. J had some of the disco outfits on. That never took away from the respect that his peers in middle America and in the inner city had for him. Everybody still respected it. So the thing is, all of that is debunked at this point. It's just nowadays we want to nitpick. We want to nitpick. Oh yeah, I don't like it. You must be immature. You're weighing that. Okay. It's just nitpicking. Like I said, it's all about narrative at this point. And I don't think that should take away. And you're talking to a guy, and I brought this up before. You're talking to a guy that wore ties to school. I was the first person on my block with a polo bear tie. I was the first person wearing that shit to school. My father dressed me up in those ties and loafers and saddle lace-ups, all of the stuff that, big ups to him, Andre 3000 was wearing in the early 2000s. And he had a whole clothing line about it. Matter of fact, did you know that the shit that Cam Newton wears, the majority of it comes from Ralph Lauren? All of that is from the black label and the purple label. All of that comes from Ralph Lauren. Everybody's modeling those suits. So it's crazy when people say, well, he doesn't dress right. He's dressing just like the models do in those polo catalogs.
But we all know the very obvious why. And back to Jason Whitlock, like I've said before, you are what you are. To say that you're not obsessed or jealous, or to say that you haven't had a history of not attacking black people, it's just a lie. No one has aspirations of being Jason Whitlock. Exactly. Stephen A. Smith, say whatever you want about Stephen A. Smith. Still, there's aspirations to be him. Hell, look what he's done for HBCUs. He's still look, he just recently went to Seton Hall University, which is in South Orange, New Jersey, where I live. Not too far away. If you actually drive from my house to there, it's about like 10 minutes away. Gives speeches, does a lot of things in the community. Do I agree with a lot of things that he says, especially with the politics? Hell no. But there's still aspirations to be him because of what he means to the community. Jason Whitlock, what has he done that you look at and you say, wow, I want to be him. I have aspirations. I have goals to be like him. He's known for attacking people. And the reason why he's saying all this stuff is because that's his only way to be relevant. Because he doesn't really give good sports takes. We don't really hear much sports takes. Matter of fact, even when he gives sports takes, there are bad ones. Remember, Champ, I sent you. Remember the Giants versus the Broncos game? He blamed Jackson Dart for the Giants losing that game against the Denver Broncos. And bringing up Jackson Dart with his big chain or whatever type of jewelry he was wearing. What does that have anything to do with the fact that they lost the game? Nothing. And the fact with Jason Whitlock, with your character, you question people with the man of faith. You have the nerve to question Deion Sanders' faith, but you bring in Brett Favre of all people on your show, knowing what Brett Favre was accused of. Brett Favre was accused of stealing welfare funds in Mississippi. You bring him on his show. Even Brett Favre is looking at you like, dude, why you got a problem with Prime?
Sometimes I really want to ask this question because, I'll say this. There was always a bickering process with me and, people who you care about, right? Do you think it's a question of sometimes it's black and white, or is it a question of young and old? because I never forget people used to because you could attest to this BRF, especially from us being in the Bible Belt, right?
Mhm.
Older people always say, you have to predict yourself this way, that way. And we're looking at them at times like, no, that doesn't matter at a certain point because people are going to criticize you anyway. You might as well just do whatever the hell you want to.
Exactly.
Because the thing is, yeah, they're going to, even when you have a suit on, they're going to have something to say about this blank word in a suit or whatever. Who does he think he is? Or who does she think she is? Or even to a certain extent, who do they think they are wearing a suit like that? So do y'all think it's a question really of black and white when it comes to guys like Jason Woodlock and many other journalists that are just like him, whether they be on the conservative side or the other side? Do you
Absolutely.
think it's a matter of black and
Absolutely.
white or just young and old?
Absolutely race. Because when you have a history the way that he does, it's a pattern. It's pretty obvious. When you have a reputation of saying the stuff about people of color, it's pretty obvious. And when Nick Fuentes is taking the time to call you a token, knowing how insane he is, for him of all people to say that, you said it yourself, champ, you couldn't have said it any better, is one thing from your own community to say that about you. It's entirely another thing if someone outside your community says that about you.
Mhm.
Yep.
Essentially, what does that tell you? It tells you how fucked up and shady you are as a human being.
Yeah. Tells me I'm not going to trust the opinion of anybody who looks like a shrunken head voodoo doll. But that's another
Yeah.
conversation.
Chill, bro. But yeah, but I've always asked that question: is the question of black and white are really young and old? Because, like I said, a lot of the older guys in our neighborhoods, like I said, BRF, we from
But you're
down
right
south,
though.
they always used to always say, "How come you young boys ain't got a suit on?" Especially when when the throwbacks was out, we used to wear the throwbacks a lot. Y'all boys lost the art of wearing suits. Why y'all got all that hair on? You got the low haircut,
Man.
and no, there was a lot. No,
Yeah, no,
but
you're right. No, you're absolutely right.
was
No,
a
you're
lot
right.
of
You're right.
questions of young and old. It wasn't necessarily black and white. It was a
Mm.
question of young and old. It was just like the old men, the older men that was around, they always believed that you should have your shirt tucked in your pants. You
Mhm.
always should have a low haircut. You always should have your good clothes on, your good shoes on. You ain't supposed, only time you should be
Like
wearing tennis
I
shoes,
and I could
and the only time you should be wearing tennis shoes. Remember,
mhm.
I think our dads used to tell us that, hey man, the only time you need to be wearing them tennis shoes is when you go into the pickup game at 21, man. Always keep you a good pair of shoes in the back of your ride because you never know when a game of 21 gonna break out, man. But other than that, don't be wearing all that other stuff, man. You want to make sure you present. A lot of people think that's black and white, but I can attest to this myself. It's a case of a lot of times of young and old. It's just like the older guys, they want you to present yourself like this. But the thing is, you try to tell them that the world that you may have grew up in, it doesn't exist anymore.
Chap, my
And
father was the same way as well. I mean, he would tell us to cut our braids, cut our hair and stuff, have the little haircut. But I think, and yes, that I understand from the old young thing. But I think for us nowadays, and thank God I can rock the braids however I want now, is because now we are evolving. We
yeah,
are changing. And look, we don't just because we wear braids and stuff, that doesn't necessarily mean we're unprofessional.
right.
Larry Fitzgerald,
Exactly.
he has braids. He has dreads. Does he need to change his image?
Yeah, I think it's then that's what I was kind of getting ready to say too. I think I like this is another. I think this is kind of one of those things where it's like kind of like two things can be true as well, because I think it's also a part of just like the evolution as far as like us as a species, as far as just like yeah, because like but Champ's right though about the keep your shirt tucked in,
Yeah.
have a suit ready for Sunday, keep your hair low, or
Yeah.
like make sure you're doing everything, keeping yourself clean, the wash your face, brush your teeth, all that other stuff, all the necessities, like keep make yourself presentable at all times. I think it's really just more like but then like I said, y'all both are right because I think it is a racial thing as well from the standpoint of certain looks like the braids and the baggy pants and all that. It's like it's trying to offset the negative connotation that comes with that. And I feel like today, the generation of today is really trying to kind of offset that. And honest to God, that's a good thing because I feel like the look itself shouldn't necessarily make the person. It should be the person that kind of he should stand out well beyond how they look. Just even if they got a whole bunch of tattoos and they're just rocking the casual gear, if you can have a conversation with them and you can sit with them and talk to them for about 20, 30 minutes about anything, and you're able to keep a really good logical conversation and really learn something. And for me, that does it right there. That does it for me right there. If I can sit and talk to someone and I learn something new about you from that conversation and develop more of a respect for you after that conversation, for me, that carries the entire game plan for the individual as far as what they have in store for them. So yeah, for me, I feel like the person really kind of carries they can look however they want to, but the person and their action is ultimately gonna should honestly carry them throughout. So, it's just
But like I said, when you have the history like Whitlock does, that's where the racism plays a role. Because when it's
exactly.
different groups of races or people, I don't see him attacking, and it is pretty blunt and it's pretty obvious. And with it, champ, like I said before, you've said it. Your worst fear is for anyone to compare you, analogize you to Jason Whitlock. I'll say it again. That is something that I don't think you have to be concerned or fair about. Do I agree with you with a lot of things? No, I don't. But unlike Jason Whitlock, you have integrity. You are fair. You do the research. You don't sit there and bash and attack people. Think of the things he has said about women, whether reporters, athletes, Shakari Richardson, Angel Reese, so much more. He's known for saying all this stuff, and it only benefits him because he knows there's nothing else in his life that's relevant or significant. The only reason why he's saying all this stuff, not only because he believes it, is because it's his way of paying the bills. It's his way of remaining relevant.
Yeah.
And I just think it's just a joke, and this is why we should not pay any attention to what Jason Whitlock has to say. I just don't take him seriously, and who should, in my opinion, who should really take Jason Whitlock seriously? Because when you listen to the things that he has said, given his history, how can we find you credible?
exactly.
I think the
But
only thing I ever agreed with him saying was, I think this was like the only take, and I wouldn't even say his name when he first said that.
the
The only
Jokic
thing,
and B
the
thing,
Jokic and the Joel Embiid situation, that was it. He said Jokic's name should be the process, and Embiid's name should be the Joker. That was the only take that I really agreed, and that was the only take, excuse me, that held up to this day. Because even back then, I agreed with it because, to me, be honest with you, I always felt like, especially because of his injuries, that he was always
and
going to be
B.
held back as far as Embiid was concerned. I didn't really think that about Jokic at his peak, but that was the only take I could. But I would say this. I'll say this in closing. I think if people, much like Mr. Whitlock, would think about substance over hot takes, I think that sports in general would be better. If you use your knowledge for the greater good, because when you make criticisms that's fair, people know it's fair. When you make criticism and we people know that you just pulling stuff out of your behind just to get rage, then that's a whole nother ball game. But I really think that if you use your credibility the correct way and use your hot takes for the correct way, it will do a hell of a lot more good. That's just my humble opinion about how you should conduct yourself as a journalist. I think hot takes is killing sports because it's just a bunch of rage bait going on now. It's just a lot of, hey, this is going on, a lot of biasness that's going on, a lot of media narrative. There really no facts to back it up. Because outside of that one take, what take has he had in order to prove it to be correct?
And again, champ, no one is going to take him seriously. No one is going to really take him no one's really going to take him seriously. They're going to take his word with a grain of salt because he doesn't do the research. He doesn't do his homework. He claims that other people are lying when in reality, he's the one who's lying. Why should anybody really take what Jason Whitlock says seriously? Because everyone knows the stuff that is coming out of his mouth is bullshit. That's why I can't take him seriously. But that was a great conversation. But fellas, let's move on to our favorite subject on the Sports PSP podcast, baby face or heel. Now, for those who may not know what baby face heel means in wrestling language, baby face is a good guy, a heel is a bad guy, a tweener is someone in between. He is an absolute baby face. Rest his soul, John Witherspoon.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, man. You're not only that, the whole Papa John's parody that he did. Bobby, cut Bobby. Man, I think that we all can relate to being a young dude. I think Friday is one of the most relatable movies that anybody could ever have. Because we all have that overbearing ass dad in your early 20s, but you're trying to figure stuff out. And he's just on your case every day about
every time I come in the kitchen.
You
in the kitchen.
In the hot damn refrigerator.
In the goddamn refrigerator. Eating up all the food.
I think every young man can relate to that, man, because people don't understand how relatable that is. You have this young man, 21, maybe his early 20s, trying to figure life out, still living with his mom, dad, and his sister. And he has a girlfriend and he's trying to figure everything out. But, excellence is a must and failure is kind of not tolerated. So I think every young kid can relate to that. That's the most related. People always think about that as a black movie, and it is. But I think if you look closely at that, every young man can relate to that. Your early 20s, I never forget my early 20s. Like I said, I was in the army. My dad like, hey, you gonna do like that? I'm in the army. Like, I don't have to do that anymore. So it was just like, but at the same time, although your father is overbearing, he's right. He turned out to be right at the end of the day, especially when say you live and you live to fight another day.
Mm-hmm. So you win some and you lose some.
And he taught, and it's a lot. That's a lot of life lessons in that movie. But Undisputed Babyface, man, that look, not just that, but the Boondocks, the Wayans brothers, and hey, man, look, he had a presence about him as well. He had a presence about him. Yes, it was playing, it was jokes, but he also had that seriousness about him as well. And there was no wonder why he was chosen to play the father on each and every movie and every single show that he was a part of. Because he had that presence. He had that fatherly like presence that he had. And, hey, remind me of my father. Very, very playful, very, 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 very cool when he in the house. You get him outside. I ain't never see my dad smile outside the damn house. Like, yeah, we in the house playing and joking. We get outside. Damn, what happened to the smiles? What happened to the laughing? He said, you got to let people know that you're serious outside, bro. That's what he used to tell me all the time. He was like, hey, man, don't go outside doing all that little smiling and grinning. Mofos don't take you serious when you're out there. They looking for a come up then, which I didn't get back then. But when I turned like 23 and I started going all over the world, I finally understood it. Granted, I couldn't be like my father. I couldn't, scowl everywhere I go because that was not going to work for me. So it wasn't going to work. Can you imagine seeing me bad everywhere I go? You bet that don't even look right. So yeah, that was not going to work for me. But yeah, it's a lot of life lessons with that, with and how relatable that movie is. Not just on that movie. Every time that he played the father in something, it taught a lesson, and people just look past the lesson because they want to laugh. But I think that he was the perfect father. You know what I'm saying? Every single role that he was in. Yeah, cheerful, funny as hell, can make you laugh. But also when it's time to get serious and put that hammer down, he didn't hesitate. So John Witherspoon, man, that was it. And same thing with John Amos, the late great John Amos, from Good Times, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and Uptown Saturday Night. So they was the perfect fathers for their time. Old school, can laugh, but you know, when it was time to be serious. And James Avery, by the way. James Avery, shout out to the late great James Avery. Those were
Yes,
the
I was gonna bring him up as well too.
those was the perfect three fathers, man. James Avery, John Amos, and John Witherspoon, man. Those were the perfect three fathers, especially, you know, that strong black presence that you needed. Funny, but yet serious. And that's what every young man I believe needs. Like I said, my father was just like each and every last one of those guys I saw my father in because he was just like all three of them. Funny, but yet serious as hell. And everybody knew he didn't take no nonsense. You know, my father, he was funny like John Witherspoon. He was professional like like James Avery was in Fresh Prince, but he was also that. He was also a force to be reckoned with, just like John Amos was, man. And he didn't take no shit either. That's what I loved about it. So John Witherspoon, undisputed babyface, man.
DRF.
Yeah, boy. Most definitely, most
I'm
definitely
sorry.
babyface.
I hate I love the Friday after next scene when he slapped the mama in the face after tasting the barbecue sauce.
Let me tell you something. That whole scene of that commercial was one of the funniest things. I mean, and if you pay close attention to that scene at the end with Don DC Curry, he's like, "Ain't but one location, so it's near as you." I mean,
I didn't even
that
think about that until you
yeah,
said so.
yeah,
Mhm.
ain't but one location, so it's near as you. I mean,
Mhm.
just him, Don DC Curry, and John Witherspoon. You could tell were just made to be to to be like the father and the uncle. You could just tell. You could just tell they're like the chemistry there was just is perfect. You could just see how they just offset each other so well in those movies. But just like from like the Friday movies and the Boondocks, oh, Robert Freeman, the Boondocks. Oh my gosh, the Boondocks. Let me tell you something. It's a shame. It's a shame he had. It's a shame he passed because we were about to get season 4, and he
Mhm.
passed before they could really get it jump started, and no one else was gonna play Grandpa like John Witherspoon. I mean, just I mean, he was just perfect for it, and I love the Boondocks because it was the Boondocks came. I feel like at a time where we kind of needed a show like that because it was like it just basically all of the black people stereotypes. It just like reinforced everything and just put them on the forefront. And it was just like, here you go. And it kind of allowed us to really like laugh at ourselves, which I think at that time we kind of needed to a little bit. So it was that show like came at like the perfect time as far as like us as a society. Um, but just like so many different movie roles, just so many appearances. Like this, like he was underrated as a stand up guy as well. I mean, just the dude was just naturally funny, man. It was not naturally funny, and now it's going forward with JD, his son. He's I follow him on IG. He's hilarious in his own right as well. And I mean, why wouldn't he be when you look at a guy like John Witherspoon and just kind of like the Wayans brothers? we can't talk about John Witherspoon without the Wayans brothers. I mean, like that was like for a while the Wayans brothers I feel like was one of the shows that carried like the early WB back
Remember
in the
the
day.
episode when he pretended to be a rapper?
There was that one, and then there was the other one where he did the where he brought his old band back. When my
My
love
love,
goes bang bang
bang,
bang
bang,
Mm-hmm.
you better run.
for cover.
Bang, bang, bang.
And oh no, let me tell you something. Oh god, I'm shouting out one of my high school classmates. He does one of the best John Witherspoon like imitations like I have ever seen. Like there's an old video that I think we had recorded when we was in high school, and it was him singing the song. I swear to God, it was one of the funniest. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. So I got to shout out one of my old high school classmates. It was great. But man, John Witherspoon, man, he's timeless. He's one of these comedians that's gonna be timeless, and he's just like he's like his impact and his influence is gonna be felt for a long, long time. And just he kind of as far as the comedy, as far as the black comedy dad, like he's one of those that just sets the standards for that because it's like he has his side where he's just like the funniest guy like in the movie, like the scene in Friday where he told Craig to come in the bathroom with him, and he just
No, did you watch that full scene, or do you listen closely when you see that scene?
I think I kind of know what you're talking about, but what part?
You know, when he invite Craig in the bathroom, and do
Hmm.
you listen closely, man? If you listen very, very closely to the scene, you'll see, you'll hear what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The only thing I heard was bloop. I was like, what? You can
yes,
hear
yes.
jumping in the pool.
Boy, the scene. Oh my gosh, the scene after he got bit by the dog. He he laying in the bed. He laying in the bed watching the movie Man's Best Friend, and he laying in there watching the
Get
movie
your
Man's Best.
ass, Mr.
Watching Man Best.
Postman.
Yeah, it's your ass, Mister
Mr. Boss
Postman.
Man.
And he said, I'm talking about, hey man, hey, give me some water. And then Craig go fix the water, and then the piece of ice fell on the ground, and he don't blow off the ice. He just put the ice. He put the ice back in the cup, and he just take it to him. And like, man,
Took you
let
long
me tell
enough.
you,
I know.
God, oh my God, man, Friday, Friday for me just I could just about recite that whole movie, beginning to end, line to line. That's like my favorite comedy movie of all time. But John Witherspoon, R.I.P. Well, I tell you,
Mm-hmm.
man, he's timeless. Like his impact and his influence is gonna be felt probably forever. Like the man was just that funny and just that loved and respected by all of his peers and fans that just loved him and adored him. Man, shout out R.I.P. to John Witherspoon. That's pops. He is pops to me. He will always be pops.
Absolutely. So John Witherspoon easily a baby face. All right, another one for baby face or heel. Stephanie McMahon.
Oh, I think you.
Babyface. My
Yeah.
humble opinion.
Hmm.
Babyface. There was a
She's
lot of
doing a tremendous job with her podcast, by the way.
yes, she is. And look, regardless of the drama, you never heard her caught up into that drama that was going on in the family business. The thing is, I can understand that people are going to say, well, I can't control somebody who's older than me. You're the matriarch of the family. I can't control it. And to their credit, they were smart enough to say when everything kind of came down, hey, it's time for you to step back and kind of chill because you're costing us. And she stepped down when Vince came back. So, and look, BSP head might not have liked it, but I loved it when she told the fans, go get a VPN. Mind you, I'm making millions of dollars with this company. Get a VPN. Don't pay all that damn money. I admire somebody for that, especially when you got everything to gain and everything to lose. You got everything to lose. And look, as far as the character concerned, she's the ultimate lady heel, man. Billionaire princess, spoiled little brat, left dad, left her father's side to be along with the neighborhood jerk, that being Triple H, to even start her storyline. Because remember, to start off her storyline, it was Stone Cold Steve Austin saving her from The Undertaker.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the storyline just evolved. She left her father's side in order to be with the neighborhood jerk that he warned her about. I think that's relatable as well. But I digress. But
Remember when The
yeah,
Rock did a song about her?
yeah. You know what? Happy birthday to Steph. Europe with yeah. So that
Mm.
was amazing. That was amazing, man. And she didn't mind being the butt of jokes either. I mean, did a lot of great things for SmackDown. SmackDown became the premier show because of her acting as the general manager along with Paul Heyman and some of the other writers on there. They were able to overtake Raw, which was not easy to do because Raw was the perennial show for a long time, and SmackDown was considered the B team show. But they were able to launch guys like Eddie Guerrero. They were able to launch guys like you know um, Rey Mysterio that didn't have the prototypical size. They didn't have the prototypical size, but they were amazing wrestlers.
SmackDown 6.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Stephanie McMahon, she is a babyface. Like I said, regardless of her political alliances, hey, look, I'm gonna just be real. My mom trying to run for office, she has political aspirations. There's a lot of deals that are gonna be made. And guess what? That's my mom. Although I may not agree with it, I'm gonna support it anyway. You're my mom. And that's probably the only reason I'm gonna agree with it. So that's just how it goes. So I'll say undisputed babyface, man. I like Stephanie McMahon. And look, man, look. I'm just gonna be real. That face card don't decline. That face card do not decline. And look, man, it's so cool to see her. It's so cool, and I don't mean this in a derogatory to see women evolve. It's so cool to see them go from the little princess to the damn head queen in charge to be a grown woman. Like like I'll give another example. You seen Maya lately?
Mm.
It's just so it's like wow, I seen you go from a princess to this super queen. Like damn, that's cool. And it's not in a an explicit type of way. It's just like damn, do
A
my
compliment.
eyes. It's a compliment. It's like wow, you evolved. Your aura has evolved. Your education has evolved. Your demeanor has evolved, and the things that you may have stood for at one time does not apply to you anymore. So you don't even associate with that. So to see to see grown women evolve from being a princess to the head queen in charge is an amazing sight to see because you are able to see how they evolve in their education, how they evolve from their mannerisms, how they evolved in their aura. You're able to see that. And when you get a look at that firsthand, and especially when it's on TV, it's like, wow, you have really grown up. And it's just like, and like I stated, it's not in a bad way or an explicit way. It's like in a great way. Like, damn, you really have grown up and became everything that you said you were going to become. We do that all the time, like us, we do that all the time. Like when we saw Kobe growing up right before our eyes, it was just like greatness. You just knew it. But from being, especially being a Nepo baby, you know, people are going to say, well, you only got that job because of this person. Well, I mean, it ain't my damn job that it ain't my damn fault that my parents did their job. So I encourage nepotism. If I could give every last one of my friends jobs, knowing that they could do the job, I'd give every last one of them jobs. I encourage it.
BRF.
Uh, yeah, Stephanie McMahon for me is a babyface, and she is like when you think about like when I think about it personally, just growing up, being a young man, like going through the teenage years and adulthood, and all that stuff, like as far as like just some of the biggest like crushes I've ever had on like the divas, the women of wrestling. Like back then, it was like it was Trish, and it was Mickey James, and it was Lita, and then you see Steph, and then you see Steph, and then how she grew and how she evolved. Like SmackDown general manager, 2002 to 2004. Stephanie McMahon really needs to be studied because there's no reason a woman should have been that fine. Just just being straight up. And the fact that she was good at what she and the fact that she was really good at what she did.
She was a
Like
heck of a heel.
she
Yeah.
wasn't she I think she's probably in terms of the women as far as being a heel, she's probably the greatest woman heel in my opinion. Honestly, it should be a lot of people's opinion in the history of the business, just because of the depth that she was willing to go. Whether whether it was the McMahon Helmsley alliance when she first when the thing with Triple H first started,
Hmm.
and then the authority, 2012, 2013, 2014, the authority, just her promo work, her character work, just her facial expressions, just you knew stuff was about to go down in certain situations when she had the microphone in her hand and she had a certain look on her face when she was before she was getting ready to talk. You knew something was about to go down when the minute she opened her mouth. Like she was one of those that you believe, even though she wasn't necessarily like the type to really get in a physical altercation like that. She wasn't gonna fight like that. You knew when she talked, you were gonna believe every word she said just from an authoritative standpoint and just how serious she was as far as like her character and everything. So Steph for me is like I said, I think she's the greatest woman's heel ever. And just she's 49 people. She's 49 years old. She looks the same way she did when she was running SmackDown as a general manager. The woman has not aged since the early 2000s. So shout out to Steph. For like Champ said, shout out to Steph. The face card pull is still pulling nothing but nines. It's crazy, but just the talent behind it. She's just taken to the business, and for me, she is still like one of the real bright spots as far as the business and everything she's doing, particularly with her podcast. Now, I saw like she did the Hulu series, the Stephanie's Places.
Yes.
That was an amazing series. The interview she did, Rhea, Pat McAfee, the Bloodline,
Stone Cold Steve
Stone
Austin.
Cold Steve Austin. Um, oh shoot, she even got her own husband. She got Triple H in the series. Like just
Undertaker
that
was also there as well.
she did one with the Undertaker as well. One of my I think that's probably one of my favorite episodes was her and the Undertaker and just reliving those stories with him. And now what she's doing with her podcast that she's currently doing now. Just shout out to Stephanie McMahon, man. Like I said, I think she's still one of the bright spots of the business, despite being a McMahon. Just what she puts out there and what she wants to represent. I mean, there's nothing but good coming out of her. And shout out to Steph, man. Continue success, man. Keep doing what you. Like I said, she's still one of the bright spots of the business. So shout out to Steph.
Absolutely. And last one. This is a football player one. Football. Brian Urlacher.
I gotta go tweener.
Yeah.
I
He
gotta
was
go tweener.
he was a hell of a linebacker. He was a great football player, but his political views.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, some of the things that he said politically in recent years is kind of like as great as he was as a middle linebacker. Because I mean, he for me, he's definitely in conversations of top five middle linebacker of all time. How good he was in Chicago, but yeah, just like, and you wouldn't, and I feel like a lot of these football players that have the political beliefs that they have, like you wouldn't think so when you think about the teammates that they've had in their careers. But you can't always necessarily like control what somebody does off the field or what they say off the field. But yeah, yeah. So for me, it's really not a lot to really like harp on with Brian Urlacher as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, like a lot of his beliefs and things he said. Yeah, he's definitely a tweener. But when you look at him just from the field, on the field, and just how good he was as a middle linebacker, he kind of Like you had like him and Ray Lewis and like the Patrick Willises of the world who really kind of like helped revolutionize the middle linebacker spot from a standpoint of just all around like power, speed, being able to cover receivers out the backfield, being able to cover tight ends, having hands, just being able to just true all around middle linebackers. I feel like they kind of revolutionized that and kind of like what we're seeing today. So yeah, I would say Brian Urlacher for me is a tweener.
Big fella.
So I gotta ask you a question, BRL. Start, bitch, cut. Well, both y'all start, bitch, cut. Patrick Willis, Luke Kuechly, or Brian Urlacher. Start, bitch, cut.
You want
Why
me?
you had
All
to
right.
do that?
No,
Why
because
you had to do that?
nah, because I ain't gonna lie though, because for me this actually is it's hard, but I kind of have an idea of where I want to go with this because I want to look at it as far as I want to rank it as far as like the all around. You you might get a kick out of how I rank this, but I'm really ranking this. I'm probably I'm probably going to start. Oh gosh, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but this is how I feel. I'm gonna start Luke Kuechly.
Okay.
I'm gonna bench Patrick Willis, and I'm gonna cut Brian Urlacher
Okay.
because I just feel like I feel like from a I feel like just from like a cover, like from being a coverage linebacker standpoint, and Brian Urlacher wasn't a bad coverage linebacker. Don't get it twisted. I just felt like Luke,
Kuechly's head and shoulders as far as
yeah,
with coverage.
exactly. Like it was for me. For me, it's Kuechly's IQ and being able to read play, see the play, dissect the play before it even happens. But and then being able to match that with the athleticism to not only have the strength to be able to play down in the box and play in the run, but being able to cover
Who would you
receivers
say
and
is the
tight
better
ends and stuff.
tackler between the three?
Patrick
The
Willis.
I would, yeah, I would probably say I
I
would
was leaning
probably
towards Brian though.
I like. I think Urlacher's the I think Urlacher's the best athlete of the three, and I'm looking at it from the standpoint of how freaking big Brian Urlacher was.
About like what he's like
Because Pat
6'3", 6'4", probably 260.
6'4", 260, like playing 6'4", 255, something like that, playing middle linebacker. Because Patrick Willis, I think is the smallest of the three. I think he was like 6'3", 235. Patrick Willis is the fastest of the three because he was running
I
like
don't
a
even
four
think
three
Patrick
eight coming
Willis
out
is
of Ole
that big.
Miss. Yeah,
I
he was
think
like
he's like five.
I
I
think he was
think he's
like
like 5'11".
he might be 5'11". I think he was built. I think he was built at like 6'1", 6', 6'1", like 235. But the thing
Yeah.
is, Brian
Yeah.
Urlacher, I
Yeah.
mean, Patrick
240 him.
Willis was running like a he was
He's
running like a
listed as 6'1".
yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I thought. He was listed at 6'1", but he was like I said, Patrick Willis was one of the 4.38 out coming out of Ole Miss, coming out of college, and that was one of those things that kind of set him apart from a lot of other linebackers. But yeah, for me, is Kuechly, like I said, his head for the game and just being able to have the athleticism to go along with it, and it's really close for me between Willis and Urlacher. But I think why I lean Willis is like I said, it's it's his sideline to sideline ability, his downhill ability to be able to hit the run, to hit the play the run and hit the running backs the way he could, and then and then to have enough of ability to cover and be able to force the turnovers that he did. But for me, it's just I don't know. Just I look at Luke Kuechly and I look at Patrick Willis and just doing it in the time they did. Because let's be real, they didn't have as long a careers as Brian Urlacher did, and they really put up like really a lot of all the same achievements that Brian Urlacher was able
Luke
to.
Kuechly, I think in year 2 he won defensive
He won
player of the
Defensive
year.
Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Like they did pretty much everything Brian Urlacher did in a shorter amount of time. So that's why I look at Luke Kuechly and Patrick Willis, and that's why I would have them ahead of Brian Urlacher. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, let's not get it twisted. Brian, back in the day, we would play Madden like on the PlayStation 2 and all that other stuff. Boy, one of my favorite defenses to play was the Chicago Bears, just to control Brian Urlacher, because you knew the running back wasn't gonna be able to go sideline to sideline on you. So it was just a matter of you gonna make him throw the ball. So Brian Urlacher was still one of them ones. So when we do start bench cuts, this ain't knocking anybody because they're all really good players. It's just a matter of preference and who you lean toward at the end of the day.
Big fella.
I want to hear yours too, PSP.
Okay, I was leaning towards Patrick Willis to start, but I probably have to go with Kuechly only because of the IQ.
Yeah.
Athleticism, Patrick Willis, I believe, is just the better one. I wasn't even thinking about that question.
Yeah.
Until Urlacher, unfortunately, I have to cut. Even though he clears them in terms of longevity, but when you look at Kuechly's peak from 2012 to 2019, I think that's how long he lasted. Ironically, the same time as Andrew Luck. But still, that peak and how he was the best at his position at that time. There was him. You also thought about Patrick Willis. You also thought about Bobby Wagner from the Seattle Seahawks. Kuechly, you have to start at 1. Willis, you start at 2. And sadly, you have to go Urlacher at 3.
Yeah.
So I agree with BRF from that standpoint, if you're looking at it from that standpoint, because I was leaning towards either Patrick or Luke to start. I was leaning towards Patrick because of the athletic ability, but you have to go with Kuechly because of the instincts. And he does have the accomplishments as well to go along with it. But I say tweener with Brian Urlacher because, again, with the political things that he said. Only funny thing with Brian Urlacher, though, I mean, he was trying to the hairstyle, the hairdo that he kind of was rocking with a little bit. So I don't know what he was thinking with that one, but Champ, the floor is yours.
You're a tweener, Urlacher, man.
I don't know if Champ want to rock that hairstyle. But, I mean,
no, I'm gonna keep my hair. Either I got the hat on or I got the low haircut. I ain't finna be putting all that shit on my head. That ain't me. I gotta keep it simple, man. So I go to the barbershop. It take them like 20 good minutes to cut my hair and edge me up. I'm out the door. So I can't complicate life. So but anyway.
Well, you don't want to be Dennis Rodman?
No, I can't. There's only one Dennis Rodman. I don't know how I look with certain shit on my head. You know, I tried doing that and created players on Madden and NBA Live. And when I was really playing games, like, nah, that don't look good. Let me take that off. So, people don't understand this when we say political. It's not just political. It's like right and wrong. You know, there's a difference between being political and right and wrong. I never forget this. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to just bring this up. I never forget during the height of the first Gulf War. I remember Charles Barkley wore a certain hat. It pertains to Iraq. During the Kuwaiti Wars. Right? That's being political. When it gets to a point where you want to mistreat somebody because of political beliefs, then you got to a bad point. It goes past politics. So I want to be very, very clear when we say political beliefs. You have a right to have your own political beliefs, your values and norms. But when it gets to the point where it's hurting another group of people or persons, then it's no longer political. It's really you being a dick at that point. That's just being real. And there's a lot of things that he said that's kind of questionable to me if you really want me to be honest about it. Like I said, political beliefs are yours. Hell, Sammy Davis Jr. and Wilt Chamberlain, as well as James Brown, supported Richard Nixon. Let's just be clear. At the same time, you knew those men had some moral compass about themselves. It's not about political beliefs. It's about your moral compass. Let's just be clear. So, with that being said, man, Tweener, hell of a linebacker, but the thing is, with Brian Urlacher, it was always this grudging process for me because I never considered him the best linebacker in the league. That title belonged to Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis.
I mean, the thing was, in my humble opinion, he was never the best linebacker in the league. It was always Ray Lewis. And especially when those two young men came in the league, he was even pushed back a little bit more. Is he even the best Bear linebacker we've ever seen? Probably not. That probably might belong to Mike Singletary. So there's a lot of things when it comes to him as far as athletically is concerned. Yes, he's a great linebacker. Was he ever the best in the league? No. It was that title belonged to Ray Lewis. And then when Luke Kuechly came into the league and Patrick Willis came into the league, then the title kind of, it was them, Ray Lewis. It was them and Ray Lewis. Hell, I remember when they was making the argument was he was the best linebacker on his team. Remember, a lot of people were saying that title belonged to Lance Briggs at a certain point. Remember that?
Yeah,
I remember that, but I wasn't gonna give him that much.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that title belonged to Lance Briggs at a certain point. Yeah, but everybody was there. But the thing is, you gotta ask yourself a question. When you're considered the best linebacker, is there ever even a question of whether you're the best linebacker on your own team? Was that ever a question about Patrick Willis?
I never see me personally, I never questioned that. Brian Urlacher was the best linebacker on the team. I never questioned that.
Well, no, not you, but I'm talking about if talking heads are questioning your position on your own team, then that's a whole nother conversation to be had.
That's a whole different can of worms. Exactly.
With Ray Lewis, although he had Eldrin Hartwell, Peter Bullware, Terrell Suggs, a lot of other great linebackers, there was never a question about who was the best linebacker on that team. Luke Kuechly had Thomas Davis from where? UGA, all pro bowler. But there was no question about who was the best linebacker on that team. Patrick Willis had 4 all-pros on his team, including himself. Alden Smith, Navarro Bowman, and then it was Brooks. And it was Brooks.
Yeah, Ahmad Brooks.
Ahmad Brooks. And then before him, it was Manny Lawson. Remember Manny Lawson? He was a hell of a run stopper. But even though he had 4 all-pros on his team, all of them made all-pro. And remember, him and Navarro Bowman, they used to call them the dynamic duo, the first duo to make all-pro together. There was never a question of who was the best linebacker on that team. Everybody knew the man was Patrick Willis. So, yeah, and the thing is, with all the great linebackers in history, like I said, there was never any question about Ray Lewis as far as him being the best in the league. I always felt like Ray Lewis was one, and then it's kind of like the Kevin Durant LeBron effect, if you really want me to be honest with yourself, except for Brian, like he never left Chicago. It's kind of like that for a long, long time. Because
fair enough.
Because Ray Lewis was the best, absolute best in the league, and he had the personality on to back it up. Now, in fairness, I will say this: Ray had the better organization. Ray had the better organization because they were able to build teams around Ray and that defense and the offensive players for years. It was rare that he didn't really go through any super down years. They might have had a down year one year, but then it was back up the very next year. With Brian Urlacher, it's a grudging process with the Chicago.
It does help Ray Lewis, especially when you have the great Ozzie Newsome, one of the greatest GMs around you, and to build you with that defense. Yeah. And also with the running game with also Jamal Lewis as well. And then later on in Ray Lewis's career, when you did give him a little bit more offensive weapons, you did give him Flacco, you did give him Todd Heap, Ray Rice, Torrey Smith. So it was able to help out with Ray Lewis. But that Chicago team, that 06 team, when they went to the Super Bowl, man, Lovie Smith, that was a hell of a defense. Him, Briggs, Charles Peanut Tillman. I mean, that was a damn good defense during those times. But I'll lean towards Tweener with Urlacher. All right, fellas, we got last 2 subjects, less than 30 minutes. Favorite Sandra Bullock moment? For me, it has to be The Blind Side, even though how the movie is because of obviously the whole thing we know. But her acting, I thought she did a phenomenal job as far as what she did with the Blind Side movie. Miss Congeniality, I did like that one. Sandra Bullock, very attractive. I mean, I loved her. She even did a little bit of episodes. One of my favorite sitcoms that I watched. Y'all gotta watch it from time to time. The George Lopez Show.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah,
I
I love
love
that
Remember when
show.
she played Accident Amy?
Yeah.
But y'all actually watched the George Lopez Show?
Heck,
That is it.
bro.
I love
Bro,
that show.
I love the George Lopez show.
My favorite character on that show is Benny.
Benny, oh my God, Benny was a mess, bro. Benny's a mess. But yeah, shit, yeah, man. I love, man. George Lopez
ain't in a box.
He's actually he's one of my favorite comedians who like doesn't get enough praise. George Lopez is freaking hilarious.
I agree. And we may do a favorite George Lopez moment on the Sports PSP pod at some point.
You know that song he made about Shaq? He was impersonating Kobe. I, as a Laker fan, enjoyed that.
Big fella, what is your favorite Sandra Bullock moment?
Oh man, when she played the Demolition Man.
Mm-hmm.
You took mine, bro.
I took yours.
Yes, you did.
Oh,
I thought it was the Miss Congeniality dress.
Oh my God. Well,
yes, that was. That's another story. Let's stay on Demolition.
Yeah, stay on track.
Hell, do you mean stay on track? We talk about J-Lo's Grammy dress all the time.
But yeah, Demolition Man. Hey, people don't remember she played in Speed, bro.
Yes.
Remember she played on Speed. She said, "I am never leaving the house."
That's what put her on the. That's what put her on the map.
Yeah, remember? There was another one that was going on. Hey, I bet y'all don't know this. Y'all, what is an animated movie that was based on Moses? Remember the Prince of Egypt?
Yeah.
She voiced Myra. Or Myra.
That's right.
Yeah, she voiced Myra. So yeah, she voiced Myra in the Prince of Egypt. And big ups to the studio for doing that movie. That was one of the best movies I have ever seen as far as animation was concerned. A Time to Kill, she killed it in that movie.
Yes, the one with Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah.
Yes, I know we make a parody out of that now because of Dave Chappelle. But but yeah, that was it. But my favorite moment from her has to be Demolition Man. I love the Miss Congeniality. Oh, look, I know y'all remember this. I think it was during COVID. Y'all remember the Bird Box Challenge?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The only thing I remember her, one of you is going to have to look. One of you is going to have to look. But yeah, I never forget everybody was doing the Bird Box Challenge, When my mama tell me to do the dishes, they got that little veil in front of their face, everybody doing the Bird Box Challenge. So I remember Shannon Sharp was even making fun of the referees for doing that. He said these referees need to stop doing that Bird Box Challenge. They act like they didn't see the file like that. So I think that was one of the most memorable movies that Demolition Man. But that Miss Congeniality dress, that was amazing. That blue dress right there, that was dynamite. That was amazing, man. So but I gotta say my favorite role by her was Demolition Man. Because she's just so naive in that movie, it's a shame. So it made for good comedy and it made for good action. So I love that her role in Demolition Man.
BRF.
Yeah. My favorite is my favorite is definitely is Demolition Man, because she was just like so throughout that entire movie. She was just like so goody two shoes and just so uptight. And then as it gets like near the end of the movie, she kind of starts to like open herself up a little bit. She wouldn't cuss to save her life because of the rules and everything at the time. And then like she would actually let out a little curse word every once in a while, and she was perfect for that role in Demolition Man. Shout out to Sylvester Stallone. Shout out to Wesley Snipes, man. Shout out to that's like one of my favorite action movies ever. Definitely Speed with her and Keanu Reeves. Just a movie ahead of its time. Just the the idea of just like a bus having a bomb only can drive so fast. If you go beneath that speed limit, you blow up. Just so ahead of his time. Um, yeah, yeah. Like I never really. I think it was definitely Miss Congeniality in the blue dress. I never really had a crush on Sandra Bullock like that.
Hey, she was
But that
fine
scene,
and still fine.
yeah. I mean, yeah, she was, but just like she was never like as far as like my type, she was never like my type like that. But I developed a new respect for her after that scene. I tell you that much for sure. But that was like I said, I've had like my movies that I didn't think I would like I would get into and I would like, but I watch them like, you know what, it's not that bad. Not that bad. Like one and two for that matter. Shout out Regina King. Miss Geniality too. Shout out to Regina King on that one. But yeah, they were both good. And then but yeah, and the Blind Side, yeah, that was good. Like her acting in the Blind Side, really like it you felt watching that movie and looking at her act. You definitely felt it, and she did a really good job. But yeah, but man, don't don't get me started about Bird Box. Oh my gosh! Like I actually finally got to like see that movie, and it was actually a really good movie. But just like yeah, like you, Champ brought up the challenge, and I'm just like people, come on, man, what are we? Come on now, a Bird Box challenge. Like, what are we coming to, people? Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Like, I ain't even. Sometimes some of these challenges and some of these trends that go viral, man, I just be like, bro, like, come on, man, what are we doing? Y'all can't think of nothing better to do than this. But Bird Box itself was a good movie, but yeah, Sandra Bullock is yeah, I'd probably say my favorite two roles of her is probably Speed and Demolition Man.
Good choices. Last one, fellas. We got like 20 minutes left. Favorite Bone Thugs and Harmony track. For me, Crossroads. On a serious note, if you lost someone, that's the type of song that you play. There's that, the infamous musicians with the songs "I'll Be Missing You" or "I Wish." If there's a song that can lift me up and will get me to see that person someday, I play the Crossroads. That, For the Love of Money, First
Mm-hmm.
of the Month. The one with Akon, I Tried. I love that track.
Mm-hmm.
The one with Akon, I Tried. So, and also a big thing with Bone Thugs and Harmony, they were in Cleveland. For them to do that in Cleveland, because when you think in the 90s, you think obviously New York, you think LA, you think Outkast in Atlanta. But for them, a rap group in Cleveland to be doing their thing, that's something. That's something to behold. So those types of tracks from Bone Thugs and Harmony. Sorry, I may not be the genius that Champ is, but those are my favorite tracks from Bone Thugs and Harmony. And then and there's the other one with Mariah Carey, Breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are my favorite tracks. What are your favorites?
I think it's all good. It's all good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's all double O E good. Change the world. If you like, if you like Crossroads, you'll love Change the World. I never forget. I gotta get that paper, 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 paper.
Mm-hmm.
For the love of money. Remember the remix they did with Biggie Smalls, the Biggie duet, "Spit Your Game, Talk Your."
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That one was good. That one was real good, man. One of them that's underrated, Friday.
Yes.
Mm.
So if you're in a certain lifestyle, I would recommend you listen to that song.
Mm-hmm.
That is a cool, laid back, calm song, and you can do your thing, whether you know whatever that thing is. So I think Friday is real, real good. Look, one of the most underrated songs that they did with Easy E before he died was Sleepwalkers. That was one of the most underrated songs that they did, man. It had that it was them, but it had that Brother Lynch. If you know who Brother Lynch is, Brother Lynch Hung is, it had that Brother Lynch feel to it. And then Easy E just brought it in a certain way, and then they did all of that in 3 minutes. Man, look, we're not against rap. We're not against rappers, but we
we
are
are
against
against
those
those
thugs.
thugs.
No, I never forget. I was playing a joke on one of my homegirls because she used to love wearing Uggs. So I used to say, "Well, we are against those Uggs," and they would beat up ass Uggs too. So I used to make fun of her about her I said, "We're not against rap. We're not against rappers, but we are against those Uggs." Man, look, "Take Me Home" that they did with Phil Collins. What I liked about that song is this. In closing, I will say, what I loved about that song is we got so used to everybody sampling Phil Collins songs, and he has a hell of a lot of songs. People only look at, In the Air Tonight, but the fact that they took "Take Me Home" and made that into a song that went against the masses. Everybody want to sample "In the Air Tonight," and they sample "Take Me Home." That was something special. If you really want me to be honest with you, anybody say "Breakdown" or did I say that already?
No, I did.
PSP did.
Break down. I like that, man. That was cool. Hey, man, if you ever want to see Busy Bone, remember that. Hey, let's take it back without being too hasty. Remember that song he made with Joker the Bell Bondsman on BET, the 3 a.m. BET.
Oh yes,
Uh-huh. Ain't nothing like money in a Ziploc bag. I think that was
yes,
a good hook, man. I mean, I really think that
yes.
was a good hook. I know it wasn't. It was Joker the Bell Bondsman song, but I
Yes, I
think
remember.
it was a
Yes.
catchy little hook that Busy Bone made. So, hey, that was good, man. Look, they were revolutionary, man. A lot of guys weren't rapping that fast. When you think about guys who was rapping fast, you think about them, and you think about Twister. Ironically, they wound up beefing for a short period of time, but for them to bring in a new style and them being from the Midwest is that was so serious. And to be signed by the late great Easy E, which yesterday ironically was the anniversary of his death. Shout out to Easy E, by the way, one of the pioneers of rap. They were very, very revolutionary. That word gets thrown out a lot, but for them to be rapping that fast, nonstop, and to have the beats that they had, and to them to be crossing over, not just they could do songs with anybody, and it would look good, and it would sound good.
They were great with features. They
Yeah, they
were
were
great
great.
with the sounds. And also they had the hairstyles too.
Yeah, man. I like I said, man. That I mean, look, I think Lazy had the best perm that you ever see, along with him and DJ Quick, brother, because they had long. I know it wasn't his song, but I know it wasn't his song. I know it wasn't a Bone Thug song, but Lazy Bone on I Don't Give a on Lil Jon and the East
Lil
Side
Jon
Boys.
song, yes.
Give me
Mm-hmm.
some hen, give me some hen, y'all. Just you both not mix it all in. Let me get the tip of the sin. Let me get the twisted man. Hey, that group will
He said it
stand the
all.
test of time forever, man. I mean, and look, the way he came into that, he was coming in just hard. You better walk the walk, you better walk the walk, you better walk the walk. I mean, it was just nonstop. I'm like, damn, Lazy is killing it. So
PRF, man.
Hmm. Wow. They're only my second favorite rap group of all time behind Outkast. So, gosh, where do we begin with Bone Thugs and Harmony? Good gosh, yeah, Thuggish Ruggish Bone for the love of money. Um, good lord. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Crossroads. That's like, yeah, Crossroads always puts you in like one of those kind of like really good kind of like remembering kind of mood, kind of like it's one of those like you think back and you kind of remember and you kind of like it's one of those like it puts your mind in a good place. You don't take nothing for granted. And so yeah, Crossroads first of the month. Um, good gracious. I know Champ
Love to
brought up
stay high.
Friday. I'll raise you one. Another one they did that's underrated. Buddha Lovers.
Oh
That's
yeah.
another one. That's another one. That's another one. That's another one.
You know.
Oh, bro. Oh, yeah, exactly, bro. Hold on. I ain't done because I Thug Love with Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about one of the most creative instrumentals I've ever heard in hip hop. And if you've heard the Thug Love song, for obvious reasons, that instrumental was unique and different. It was dark, but it was a really, really good song. One of my favorite instrumentals of all time, Notorious Thug.
Yes.
One of my favorite instrumentals of all time. Yeah, on channel talking about Crazy's feature in the Lil Jon song. He's got that one. Yeah, the Spit Your Game on the Biggie duets. He's got that one.
Wishbone is my favorite person from the group.
Mine's busy. I just and I hate it though because Busy Bone was like the most troubled one of the four, but I just felt like he was like the most. I felt like he was the most talented of the four. He had the what song he had? He had the Thugs Cry song when he went solo and did the album, the Thugs Cry song. If you ain't heard that one, you need to hear that one because that's a good song. But yeah, paper. Yeah, gotta get that paper. Love that song. Good gracious. Ghetto Cowboy. I love Ghetto Cowboy. Gosh, what else? Look Into My Eyes off the Batman Forever soundtrack.
That was on the Batman Forever soundtrack.
That was on the Batman Forever soundtrack.
I did not know that.
It was.
Batman soundtracks back then was booming.
Soundtracks back then rocked. They cooked. Like they were soundtracks back then. I would look forward to a lot of the soundtracks as I would the movies. Like Look Into My Eyes was on the Batman Forever soundtrack, and that was I love that song too. What else? They have their own version of F the Police. They have their own version of that. Shout out NWA. Bone has their own version of that song. What else is there? I know Champ brought up the Twisted Beef that they had for a little while. They end up doing a song together called Seatown. Really, really good song because they're from Cleveland, Twist from Chicago. So they finally got together. They finally got together and actually did a song. Love the song, killer song. Of course, Take Me Home. I Tried. Just like I said, man, they are my second favorite rap group of all time behind Outkast. Like Bone Thugs and Harmony for me is just like Days of Our Lives, Set It Off soundtrack. Like I said, man, they revolutionized as far as like the speed and just but with them it's funny though because like you can't the jokes that we've made off of like the Crossroads song, nobody understanding what they saying. Right, like people there was a guy that made a TikTok video. It was funny. It was a white guy made a TikTok video off of that song, and they were playing the song in the background, and he was trying to rap the song, and I guess his wife was in the background, and she was like, "What are they saying?" And he's trying to say the lyrics, and she just cracking up laughing at him. But yeah, man. But like I said though, man, Bone Thugs behind Outkast, yeah, those are like my two favorite rap groups of all time. Man, I could probably keep going with Bone Thugs and Harmony song, but that's just some of what I like about Bone Thugs. Man, they're like they hold a special place in my heart because their music has got me through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Fellas, that concludes the rest of the Sports PSP podcast. We got like 7 minutes left. Any final words and tell them where to follow y'all at?
I'll go first this time. Rest in peace to the late great Chuck Norris, man.
Yes.
Well, well, peace can finally rest because of Chuck Norris. So, so rest in peace, to Chuck Norris, man, and everybody else that we've lost. Kiki Shepard as well. Y'all don't know who Kiki Shepard is. One of the founding members of the Apollo. You know, when she used to come out there and she used to hand you the mic right before you rub that tree. And Kiki Shepard used to hand you that. Shout out to Kiki Shepard and the Apollo, the world famous Apollo. Shout out to a lot of people that we lost, man. It's quite ironic that we was talking about Crossroads. But look, guys, don't drink and drive. All right, don't drink and drive. So hey, PSP.
Yeah, we know what you're referring to. Yeah,
but no,
on
I'm
a
not.
serious
No, I
note.
wasn't even talking about him. But I'm saying don't drink and drive in general because this is around the spring break months. This quota month. So everybody trying. Everybody trying to get their quota. Don't drink and drive. They will put your ass in jail. So as he found out, by the way, after damn, you did the RoboCop in your car, then you got put in jail. Damn, that's crazy.
Wow.
But don't drink and drive. Make sure that you do everything that you need to do in order to be great, man. And remember this, man. This is what I would say in closing. You cheating yourself of your ability, being lazy, being nonchalant about your ability is disrespectful to those who believe in you. Keep that in mind.
BRF.
Oh boy. I don't know what situation worse, honestly. That accident today or him being chased by a woman, but that's a whole conversation for another day. But we're gonna keep it pushing. But for real, BRF Sports as always is a TikTok handle. The link trees in the bio. IG, Facebook, Twitter /X. I have a Discord. Just man, I had fun tonight. I always have fun, but tonight was just I don't know, man. It was like a different energy tonight. Like the topics presented tonight really kind of when I say we're genuine about this, I mean it. And like topics that we had tonight really kind of brought that out to the forefront as far as like how real we are and how genuine we are as far as like what we talk about. So I enjoyed the episode. It was a great episode. They are always great, but this one kind of stands out a little bit because, like I said, just some of the topics we had tonight really kind of it allow for even more of the genuine kind of the genuine being as far as like who we are to come out and really let us kind of talk our stuff and kind of talk our truth. So shout out to PSP who's always doing his thing. I'm just glad to be a cog on the wheel. And just I appreciate bringing my abilities to the show. Shout out to Champ. This is fun. I always enjoy this. We're gonna keep doing it, having a blast. But yeah, hey, to all y'all out there, man, just stay safe. Don't do nothing we wouldn't do. Stay safe, have fun, but just get home safe. Hug on your family, hug your loved ones. Don't take it for granted because you never know when you won't be able to do that anymore. So just continue to live life, but always be smart about things. Hey, topic not thought about is the topic not thought about.
Absolutely. Thank you for everyone for tuning into the Sports PSP podcast. Appreciate to my professor, Jennifer Lazarus. Again, without her, I would not be where I am today as far as content creation, as well as other people. Shout out to the beautiful Mama PSP. Shout out to the beautiful Angie, Kaylin, and of course, the beautiful and lovely, talented D. Everyone stay safe. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. If you want to find some entertainment, just go look at Drewski's latest outfit of him impersonating.
You're going to get him kicked off the air, bro. You're going to get kicked off the air.
And on that note, we